Oh, they bounce it inside to Cade. Nobody home but Cade. Lays it up, lays it in.
Edwards the other way, doesn't have numbers. Won't stop him from attacking. Count it and put him on the line.
A few seconds in the first.
Keep going.
Oh, Schaefer set to beat the buzzer, and he does!
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. What's up, DB?
How we doing?
We
doing?
Is that another?
Nope, it's not a hymnal.
Oh, okay.
No.
It sounded like it. It kind of had a hymny.
I knew where
vibe.
you were going with that. A hymny vibe. We got a hymny in there. A hymny vibe.
It's got a hymny.
Wow.
It kind of had a cadence of a hymn.
Yeah. It's I'm still trying to get like the real voice back.
You sound better than you did yesterday.
Yeah, I feel better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the guy that like in 2 weeks I'll be forced to go get a checkup and something will be seriously wrong with me.
Well,
I've been battling a headache for probably 3 months.
That's not great, man.
I actually think that's why I'm not sleeping.
No kidding.
Yeah, I think so. Well, that and then the Dodgers were playing, and
A 3-month-long headache might be why you weren't sleeping.
yeah, fortunately it's on the top of my head too, so it's a little concerning.
Did somebody just like Donkey Kong punch you?
Who knows, man? I
Okay.
mean, I woke as Zoe was taking some swings yesterday, and she fouled one back off into my elbow.
Yeah.
Hit it just at the right spot,
Yeah.
so it didn't bother me. Last night,
Real
this
time,
morning,
yeah.
and then putting up these ding dong bobbleheads. Dunk. It's like, I got the right spot. No, it's a strange day, man. It's like we started with the Dodgers, and I feel like I have to, and I'm not even going to defend them,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a very book-endy kind of day with Carolina playing tonight,
Yeah.
because that's the kind of team that if they win this one, they could win. I mean, they could beat Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
it's a good day, but it's one in which I didn't feel great about this game. I mean, they were getting no hit through 4, and it's early, but
I don't really know how to feel about these are hard to get a gauge on.
they are
overseas early season games.
and we've seen this a couple years now, where a couple teams will have their records actually be official
Yeah.
without everybody else playing, but
Which looks a little odd, but
it does, and I like uniformity.
yeah. Like, hey, we start on this day.
I do, but I think if you're going to do this and you're still growing the game, which I'm cool with, right? I mean, do your thing.
Yeah, your favorite player came from Japan.
It's not my favorite player.
I thought you were a big Hideki Nomo or Hideo Nomo guy.
No, but with the deliberate pitching styles,
Yeah.
those first 4 innings that they were getting no hit seemed to take forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
where's the pitch clock when I need it?
Let's go. Let's speed it up.
But I felt like Carolina's not even catching strays. I mean, they're dead set in the crosshairs.
Yeah. Well,
Dude, people are not happy. I mean, you got people filing lawsuits. You have national media like going in. I'm like, really, guys? Is this the first time this has happened?
can we have a conversation here about what
You'd like to have a conversation? What are we going to talk about?
about what
How are things?
West Virginia?
Did you have breakfast? You look very nice today too. Do you have a date?
No, I have
Your hair is nice.
I have
You
a
look
meeting.
nice. Was somebody important? Do you-
I think so. Yeah.
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 If you want me to close the deal, let me talk.
I will. I'll call you.
Yeah, be like, hey,
Lock it in.
I have no idea what we're talking about, but you can just be like, handle it.
Sign it.
Just give me. Oh, it's one of those.
No, not yet. More
Okay.
introductory than that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, let's roll this thing out. Pretty engaging. I like some people.
I was
I
gonna
like
say-
strangers.
Uh,
I like strangers.
you like people you don't
That's
know.
fair. I like strangers.
Well, you like strangers in like limited quantities.
Yeah. Yeah.
You like strangers in controlled environments.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was explaining that to some people the other day. They were mesmerized at how I do my job. I said, very carefully. Stay in the ballpark, people. Stay in the ballpark.
Which job? This job or coaching or which job?
Just because I think they think I'm, accessible, kind of a public-y person.
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, be amazed. I manage it well.
I tell people this all the time because, I mean, I don't mind speaking in public and stuff like that, but they're like, oh, yeah, like with your job, you must. I would go, no, you don't understand. I'm talking to DB
Mm.
and Shane, and that's it.
And everybody else can hear. Sometimes that gets us in trouble, though.
It does, but I do.
But sometimes that's kind of what makes
That's where
decent
the magic
digital live.
happens.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, we're out here, right?
but like,
Shane, can you just play that when you want to? Or does it have to be in the Benning Bites Open?
It's in the. It's only in the. I mean, I could probably cut it up eventually.
eventually.
I mean, we're out here, right?
I mean,
That's where the magic happens.
I'm just saying, we're talking to an empty room. It's not like there's 100 people standing in front of us or, 10,000 people streaming online or whatever. But it's like it's a much different vibe than going up and speaking in front of a room.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I don't think people understand that.
It's control. Do you and so waking up to this was beautiful.
Yeah.
And
I like it when live sports are on at weird times.
was it the Dodgers and the Padres last year?
That sounds right.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, because wasn't it Ohtani and Yu Darvish? That was the big deal.
Yeah, you Soldier Boy. No, different
You better call somebody.
That was a great open for a group I hated. I was not that's the Road Dog.
Yeah.
The Road Dog.
You're not a Road Dog?
No, I didn't like any bad guys or any heels, as they call them.
Yeah.
I don't think, I don't know whatever you call Jake the Snake Roberts.
Outside my wheelhouse. I've heard of Jake the Snake Roberts, but I don't know like who's a good guy, who's a bad guy.
I don't know I don't know what you call him.
Didn't John Cena just turn heel?
I was never a Cena guy when he was a good guy, though.
Is he a heel though now?
Yes.
Okay. Because I thought I saw a big thing on Twitter about.
He looks old. They had to put his body back together again. He looks like a Barbie doll.
What do
He
you-
looks like Ken.
He's like fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely looks
A
like
lot of
Ken.
those. I mean, a lot of those guys have been through it.
Oh, yeah.
Like their body's been through the ringer.
I'm watching a podcast series with Scott Steiner.
Yeah. And listen, I love The Rock, but when
I don't know how he does it outside of good docs.
I was gonna say
What kind of
he's-
injections do you think he takes?
all of them.
Yeah.
I think all of them.
I mean,
That dude looks better now than he was when he was 25.
100%.
Not even close.
Well, he doesn't have that dumb haircut anymore.
That
for
also
no-
helps.
For one.
But I just been like, he's more jacked
Yeah.
now than he was
Yeah.
20 years ago.
the good genes, good docs. It's all about good docs.
I mean, hey, you got
You're exactly right.
I know. I
you can
can't wait
afford
to
it.
see him again. Big Coach Sack guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a little conversation.
He's just one of those guys that you leave in a better mood than when you started.
You think if Coach Sack got left out of the NCAA tournament, he'd sue anybody?
I don't understand that.
I don't either.
I mean, how do you have the stones to like hit your lawyer up? I guess he's on retainer and you want to use your money or what?
Listen, I'm sure the governor of West Virginia has more pressing issues
Pressing.
than.
That's pretty good.
See, that was a good one. That was right on the money.
My voice sucks.
Well, it's because also you got a little lower register with the illness right now, so you're right in the wheelhouse.
Yeah,
there.
man. That's me, you, and your boy Mikey T. Big Mike Tomlin guy. Get you a
Hear the
quarter.
words.
No, hear the words.
You got to be continual.
You got to get you a quarterback. Pressing.
He's pressing to get a quarterback.
I don't want to get into this where I talk to drops again, but I kind of graduated from that.
We're just talking.
It's like, is this going to be a thing? And then, Carolina lands late. They're a couple hours late. They missed the media deal.
Mhm.
It was a chartered flight. How do you land late? I'm like, I don't know if Nebraska flies like Carolina, but bleep happens when you charter flights.
Yeah, like the same.
We've sat on the tarmac for an hour 40 before.
The same issues that can happen with commercial flights can happen with charter flights.
We waited for a plane a couple times.
Like-
Had to fix one.
I was saying mechanical stuff like that.
Waited for one coming from.
Alabama or somebody had a
New
gas
York.
leak on their flight yesterday.
Yeah. Did you see the one catch fire?
Was that the one?
No, this was like 2 days ago.
Oh no.
I'm like, wow, what is going on?
But like I hope this doesn't become a thing because first of all, it's just like grandstanding nonsense.
Oh, that's a good little word. Did you research that this morning?
I mean, I'm familiar with the term grandstanding.
How can one use grandstanding this morning?
That's why I was like, hey, I'm wearing a collared shirt. I'm going to use the word grandstanding.
No, you do look nice though.
Thank you.
I mean, I wouldn't date you, but nor give you a second look. But I'd be like, oh, you look nice. I'm still trying to get rid of these. I feel like in my TikTok shop, there's these things that look like inswells because I have these
Yeah.
bags right now, but my allergies were whipping my tail.
Yeah. It's hard to get. It's like with the allergies, it's hard to get rid of those.
Yeah, so I need to. What do people put on their face? Shane, what do you sleep with on your face when you want your eyes to look good? Is it avocados or cucumbers? I think it's cucumbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, avocados would be
That'd
kind
be
of
gross. That'd be super gross.
And I don't think you can really slice those in circles.
I don't think so. I mean, you maybe could if you took the pit out, but they're so squishy. You'd have a hard time.
Yeah, we've been running through avocados.
You could just like put the paste on your eyes, but that'd be weird.
I think they were 3 for something somewhere. They were Haas avocados.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, I felt like
avocados from Mexico.
Is that what it is?
That's a little song that they do. Have you seen the?
No. All
right.
I haven't seen any really good commercials lately.
Oh, this is a few years ago. It's not recent.
Do I need to pay attention to commercials?
I think they debuted during the debuted.
Who's debuted?
Debut like Iowa. Yeah, Dubuque. It debuted a couple years ago.
Drove through there last year. Don't know why.
Just kept on pressing, didn't you?
I did. I think I was en route to.
Nobody's trying to stop there.
Matter of fact, we drove through.
Yeah, we drove through Dubuque when we went to Indy.
Dubuque. And then
DeBucky.
Yeah, them too. I need to hit one of those so I can find one of those sandwiches.
Which one? Which sandwiches?
Those sandwiches that they have at Buc-ee's that are supposed to be so fantastic.
I've never had a Buc-ee sandwich.
Look big, like big fatties.
You talking about like Buc-ee's up here, or like the Buc-ee's down south, or they?
The when you travel on the road down south.
Okay, so like Buccees.
Yes.
Okay, not the ones that were up here. The Buc-ee's with the Y.
Buchanan's, no. I think that's what it stands for.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not those.
No, I'm
the
not
down south Buc-ee's are like
the
legendary.
one with the beaver with the big teeth.
Yeah. Probably Buc-ee the Beaver, if I had to guess.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
No, I was trying to help give you a visual. I didn't need clarity.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
You be you.
That's his problem.
What?
He is him. No, you're not him. I mean, you're being you. You're definitely not him.
I'm him. HIM.
No.
He's him.
No. Again, another 3-letter word that the young people use.
Him.
We tried to come up with several at the dinner table Sunday. It wasn't as many as I thought.
Yeah.
No.
Bet.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Him. That's all I got.
No, we went with sus and.
Oh, sus. Yeah, that's a good one.
There were a lot.
You know, they're always shortening.
I felt like I was getting dumber by the second.
They're always shortening these words.
So I'm like, all right.
Nobody's using grandstanding in that generation.
Breeze with a straight face looked at me. He's like, IDK, Dad. Funny dude. Get out. Get out. No, the whole West Virginia. I just don't want them. It's weird. I don't. You could say, hey, listen, we shouldn't be here. We should be here. However that looks, because he does not look right in a Dodgers uniform. He's a yoke dude, though. That's Conforto, by the way. But this we're going to court over this.
Yeah,
it's not even going to make it.
No, it's not going to make it to court.
This is going to get laughed out of the.
It's not going to make it to court if they even ever file anything.
Haven't we had worse years though?
Yes.
Okay.
Worse has happened to Creighton.
It's like
there was a year where they were in the top 30 RPI under Altman. I believe they were 27. They're the highest team ever to get left out.
Oh yeah, that's the mobile. Yeah, I remember that.
Like 27th in the.
I remember that.
It was RPI at the time, not net. But like this is not even close to that, right? Also, I have a bigger issue here with when bad things or things that don't go your way happen, just going into it's your BCD stuff. Blame, complain, deflect, right? Like we just go into this like, oh, it couldn't possibly be that we lost in the first round to the last place team in our league. That couldn't possibly have been a factor. It couldn't possibly be that we lost 9 of our last 15.
I just feel like we argue about this every year, and this year does happen to be Carolina, and I get it. And listen, I'm not making the case for
Carolina's not even the most egregious team.
Yeah, I mean
they're not. They won 8 of their last 10. Like they play in an I think a similar league to the Big 12.
Yeah.
Even on a down year for the ACC, they played Duke closer than anybody has really. And again, they've won 8 of their last 10. They're actually playing pretty good basketball right now. However I feel about Hubert Davis, they're playing better than West Virginia right now, and that matters, right? If you want to really complain about somebody, go complain about Oklahoma. UNC is the wrong target.
Being the 9?
Just being in if you really want to complain about something.
I know. I just
like if you want to complain about a Texas and an Oklahoma being 6-12 in conference.
We're talking about one team, right? Isn't the bubble usually
multiples?
Yeah, like 3 or 4. You could make the case for this, or you could make the case for that. And again,
But
I would just take some time just to listen to the explanation and then ask yourself, did I like does what he said make sense, regardless of
and
how
I just
I
don't
feel?
like it.
Regardless of how I feel. Does what he said and his explanation on CBS Sunday at like 6:10, does that make sense?
There's two things that hurt him. I think number one, I think using Tucker DeVries was a bad example because he's been out for a long time.
Yeah.
That was a bad that didn't.
Well, you take that one back.
That one doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
He's been out since December 6th. That's most of the season. Okay. So you can look at it and go, hey, yeah, doesn't seem like you're paying that much attention if you're using Tucker DeVries thing as a reason. That's issue number one.
So you know what? It's funny how we process that information, because I didn't look at that as a laundry list of what has happened. I looked at it as why we don't have faith going forward.
No, I get that. But most of their
you know what I mean?
Yeah, most of their resume was without him.
I understand. So if you're looking for hope that something will change,
sure,
outside of how you'd been playing, that guy's not coming back.
So you're saying, hey, the resume without Tucker DeVries is not good enough to get in.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's how I took it. I don't know if that's how everybody else processed it.
I think a lot of people looked at it as, because in the past we've seen these late season injuries affect teams getting in or out or seeding.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's how it came off.
Well, we've seen it.
But you're right.
It go both ways, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it didn't hurt Iowa State.
Yeah.
And it did hurt Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, Cincinnati was really good to Kenyon Martin.
Yeah.
Now, he's player of the year caliber guy.
And they're number one in the country.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've seen it go both ways.
And then it didn't hurt Arizona when Lauren Woods broke his leg.
Yeah.
And they were still a number one seed, right? Because now part of that's gamesmanship by the university. They're not really telling people if their guys are coming back or not. We almost saw it if there had been a tournament in 2020 with Marcus Zagorowski.
Yeah.
Creighton was playing that super coy about whether or not he was going to be available. He was super duper not going to be available. Yeah. So that's one thing. I think that came off poorly to a lot of people. The other thing is, and the reason it gets buried on North Carolina is because Bubba Cunningham was the chair.
Yeah. Which,
listen, I made some jokes, but it happens all the time. Like, somebody's going to be the chair.
That's the part I assume people are smart enough to know that this has happened before, and okay, we're prisoners of the moment, so we're going to do the Bubba Cunningham thing.
I mean, we know Raz has been the chair, right? Like, that's anybody complain about Creighton?
It just has been a thing. So, again, one team that we're debating by, and who's the better team, West Virginia or North Carolina?
Right now, probably North Carolina.
Well, I don't think anybody would agree with you or disagree with you. But the weird thing is the public outcries, and I don't know if people just want me to click on it.
Mm-hmm. People sending you a bunch of stuff?
No, I'm just
in general, like people want like clickbait stuff.
But I'm like, wow, this is by far not the worst thing that happened.
The committee?
Yeah, by far.
This year specifically?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Listen, by far.
Like you can. What's the thing that bothers you the most? What do you think is the worst thing?
So there's a couple,
mm-hmm.
and I said this yesterday. So this is number one.
Yeah.
Oklahoma is not a 9.
I know I brought them up earlier. I brought them up with Texas too. Just if you're 6-12 in conference, just GTFO, get out of here.
They're not a 9. Okay, so that's number one.
Yeah, just get out if you're 6-12.
That is number one. Number two, the disparity between first and second place teams in the same conference on seed lines
is weird.
It's
super weird. Creighton went second place regular season, second place tournament. They're a 9. St. John's is a 2.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Doesn't make any sense.
I get that St. John's has fewer losses. I'm not saying Creighton should be a 2.
Well, do you want to talk Duke Louisville? It's the exact same thing and exact same number
Duke's
of places.
a 1. Louisville's a 2 and a 2.
Yeah.
They are number 8.
Yeah.
Weird. Louisville should be like a 6.
Louisville beat Clemson twice, and Clemson's a 5, and they're the plucky 5, right?
Yeah. Louisville's better than Clemson. I think Louisville's better than Clemson.
All I know is they beat them twice.
I'm just saying, if I watch both those teams, I think Louisville's better.
So
I would take Louisville
I know that.
Yeah,
I'll take that. That's not an opinion. So then you can get into West Virginia and North Carolina.
Yeah,
Those things don't make any sense.
But
I'm also, and I didn't want to get into this yesterday because, and I understand this is what happens when the brackets come out, but it doesn't move my needle a ton to argue about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So but the fact that people I don't know what it is. Do we just need something to be angry about again?
Well, so that's kind of where I was getting at with this West Virginia governor thing, because this is a thing that happens a lot now in sort of just the world in general and sports as well, that it's one of my least favorite things about kind of the time we live in. Like, just own it. Just eat it.
Yep.
Right? Like, not everything is a conspiracy against you. Like, sometimes the things that go wrong are either A, just bad luck, or B, you had a big hand in what happened. West Virginia had a big hand in being in the place where they found themselves. Again, if they had not lost to Colorado, the worst team in that league, in their opening round, they're probably in. If they had not lost 9 of their last 15, they are probably in. Like, this is a team that wasn't playing well, got bounced immediately in their conference tournament. And yes, you had 6 quad 1 wins, and that's really nice. We've also, we can't have it both ways. We can either think the quads are stupid or they can matter. And if we think they're stupid, then we can't go to the quad 1 wins as our deciding factor about, how come they didn't get in, right? Like, we can't have it both ways on that. Either the quad system is dumb, which is where I lean, because we're talking about tiny margins between a quad 2 and a quad 1 win, which is...
And the same team, that criteria can change basically overnight with the result of a game.
That you didn't play in.
Yeah.
Right? Then it happened months after the game you played in, right? When Creighton lost to Georgetown on the opening game of the Big East, that was a different loss than it ended up being. When Creighton lost to Nebraska, that was a different loss 2 weeks ago than it ended up being on Selection Sunday. Like, that's kind of why the quads are dumb. So either the quads matter or they don't. I tend to think that they're stupid, right? So we're sitting here acting like West Virginia did not have – it's not like West Virginia was undefeated. Lost in their conference tournament, didn't get the automatic bid, and then got left out of the tournament. Then let's have a discussion, right? It's not like they had this unimpeachable record. They lost 13 games. They lost in the first round of their conference tournament. They had not been playing good basketball. And listen, I ride with Coach D-Rock because he was a Creighton guy, right? Like, I want him to do well. I want him to be successful. I don't have a huge issue with him being left out of the tournament, even though if I think – like, their resume might be a little better than Carolina's. But again, Carolina's not my issue. Get the SEC teams out of here that couldn't finish above 33% in conference.
You do like West Virginia's resume better than Carolina's, even though you think Carolina's
not Carolina's. I like it better than Oklahoma's and Texas's.
Okay.
Get Oklahoma and Texas out of there. Like, I want nothing to do with that. 6-12 in conference pisses me off. Get out.
How do you really feel?
I brought it up yesterday with
you startled Shade.
I brought it up yesterday with Texas and the 15 losses. You lose 15 games in a regular season, just get out, man. Yeah. You don't deserve to be here. You had your chance.
Stop hitting guys, training.
Go. If you're wondering what's happening, Damon's going to be real distracted this morning.
I'm doing pretty well.
You're not. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Doing pretty well.
You're staying pretty locked.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
You just can't be plunking guys.
Though. Yeah, don't do that.
And I don't know why you thought that was funny, just because I said it out of nowhere.
But, like, I would much – and listen, I've been this guy for a long time. I would much rather see UC Irvine that didn't get the opportunities but did well with what they had in front of them as opposed to a 15-loss Texas who could not win the games in front of them. We know what Texas is. They're a nothing burger. We know what Texas is. Now, they might be talented. They might play really hard. They're a 19-15 team. Get them out of there. You had your chance.
I made the mistake yesterday, and he swiped a base. See, that's what hitting guys does, Blake. It's like a double. Okay? All of a sudden, he's on second. Sorry.
You good?
No. No. You're ahead in the count, too. No reason. No reason. And he let him slide into the great big. That looks like the Michelin man's foot. Sliding into second base.
That was a little belly floppy.
Flipping thing is huge. Now my man can't mix in a strike. Oh, this is going well.
You gonna be all right?
I'm not gonna be that dude the rest of the show. I will have good discipline. This has happened to me before. I did not do the play-by-play of Dodgers Padres.
That's DB.
And Padres are practically playing softball.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
right here with Coach Crutchfield. You had to wait the whole entire selection show.
Right.
What were your emotions, nerves, nothing?
No, we
Because
kind
you knew you were in. But.
Yeah, the good part is you know you're in, but you don't know where you're going to go, who you're going to play. We kind of had an idea based on the last 3 days what Joe Lenardi had us at. And once the tournament field started shaping up, we kind of figured it was going to be a 15 with St. John's. So.
Yeah. What have you seen from St. John's? I mean, outside of maybe watching them on TV a little bit.
Well, I've watched a couple of games on TV, just when they played Creighton and other teams in the Big East, but haven't took a deep dive in yet. And we'll do that tonight and try to build a profile and see where we're at and how we stack up against them. But great team, tough, physical team, Hall of Fame coach who's won everywhere he's ever been. So it'd be a great challenge for our guys. I think our guys will rise to the challenge to be able to take that on.
I asked the guys about the potential of, when Bryant was named the 15 against Michigan State, there was a big, cuss word in the room, right? That would have been fun.
Well, we thought, they do like some storylines in the NCAA tournament. We thought that would be a storyline that they would possibly do, but
whatever. Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah. Going to Rhode Island, obviously St. John's is going to have some fans, but this crowd today was pretty good to watch you guys just where you're going to go. So it sounds like some of these people are going to Providence with you.
Great turnout today. I'm shocked, but that just goes to show about Omaha, how much they like their sports, how much they've got behind this basketball team in the last 2 months, and it's been outstanding, and I couldn't be more happier with our fan support.
We've talked about this and throughout the year, but you've been building for this moment. When that name Omaha finally came up on the screen, outside of the initial, okay, we got to get a game plan together, but was there some excitement internally, or what were you thinking?
Well, this is the day that we all look forward to. This is the day that we mark on the calendar, Selection Sunday, and every team in the country wants to be active on this day, and we're one of the teams that are active, but that's what's the goal from day one, is to get to March Madness. When I took this job, that was the goal, is to get this program relevant and into the March Madness. So we've done it now, and we're going to go and try to play our butts off.
Okay, congrats. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
See you in Providence.
Thank you.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you, get those seat belts fastened and make it click. They prevent injuries and save lives, but only when worn properly. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. DB.
Yes, sir.
Your Dodgers got out of trouble there. You feeling better?
Yeah, I feel a little bit better. Let's see what your man Shohei is going to do leading off the inning. Get to top of 9. Just working on who's going to be the hammer.
The hammer?
On the back end of the
Who's your
the
closer
rotation.
this year?
Oh, we have several options, so
Yeah.
we'll see what shakes out. That's down the line. That's a fair ball. Round him. Another double for Shohei Ohtani.
Your favorite player in the league. So Amazing Daniel brought up an interesting point.
No, don't
here.
give that dude any
He
credit
did.
for any. Is it an interesting point or is it a good point?
I think interesting.
All right.
Maybe it's good. I
We're
don't
gonna
know.
slow down the good praise.
He says, if you agree to having a committee versus a set criteria, then this is what you agree to.
Yeah.
There's subjectivity and ambiguity.
Oh, that's actually a good point,
Yeah.
Daniel.
Uh,
I felt weird calling a grown man
Daniel?
but I don't think he doesn't look like a Dan.
Yeah, and he's certainly not a Danny.
Oh, I think that would make him mad.
Like, oh, Danny boy?
Yeah, there's one of those that he doesn't have a particular affinity, or maybe it's his wife. Yeah, we'll just go with Daniel.
Daniel.
Hey, Daniel.
Because I'm not going to call him amazing.
No.
Just be like, hey, amazing. Like, what's up, Amaze? Like, what am I supposed to do there? You know?
Too old for that.
Yeah, it just feels weird, you know? But I think it's an interesting point because there is a version of this in hockey that is not subjective at all with the pairwise rankings, right? Yeah. It is a cut and dry. You are in or you are out.
Yeah, and that's funny you bring up pairwise because some people
kind of hate it.
Some people like it. Some people hate
like
it.
It's still very controversial.
That is 100% a good.
Even though it is.
And you'd like a little wiggle room, wouldn't you?
I
know.
That's the point,
I get
right?
it. I get it.
No matter what happens, if you get left out, you're pissed.
Yeah, that's legit.
That's just what it is, right? But you get left out for a reason. It's the same thing in pairwise as it is in the NCAA tournament, is you get left out for a reason. Now, the reason may be a little bit more clear with hockey.
Wait, more what?
Clear.
Isn't it just clear? More clear? Or did you say clearer?
No, just clear. Are you saying Pam or Pan?
I could have sworn you said more clearer, and I was like,
did I add an extra?
I think so.
It's possible.
But we say so. No, the pair. That's funny because I get bent out of shape sometimes about the pairwise.
So I have a buddy of mine. The only reason I know about this because I don't pay it outside of Omaha. I don't pay a ton of close attention to college hockey.
Bowling Green guy.
But I have he's an Omaha guy, but he loves college hockey.
Yeah.
So
he's a good man then.
He follows
young man.
Yeah, he's a little bit younger than me. About the same age though.
Okay.
I think he's like 2 years younger than me.
Tweener.
But he loves college hockey and he loves like stats and rankings and all this kind of like he loves very cut and dry criteria. So he loves the pairwise. He's always explaining it to me and stuff like this. So I have some idea what's going on. But he's like, it's great because you know exactly what you have to do, you know exactly what you can't do, and you're in or you're out. Right? And some people love that. But as you said, it's an incredibly controversial system.
Yep.
Because you do like a little wiggle room sometimes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes teams that we think are better get left out because of certain criteria, and you don't have wiggle room. Like, hey, we had an injury early, so we lost some of these games. Now we're playing great hockey, and we're not going to get in over some teams that we're definitely better than, right? Like, so there's no perfect solution, right? We had pretty cut and dry, sort of cut and dry criteria with the BCS. Guess what? We hate it.
Okay, how did you feel
about the BCS?
Yeah. Do you feel like we didn't get a champ right?
No.
Okay. Because it catches a lot of flack, and I think it
was a lot better than people realize.
I think so too.
And
at first blush,
and it was a dramatic improvement over the system we had, like a dramatic improvement over the system we had.
Yeah, where you'd go to bed and you wouldn't know.
Yeah, you'd have to wake up in the morning to see how people just voted. You want to talk about subjective? Like you go to bed and you just hope that the voters get it right to name a national champion, not to get a field right.
If you don't think we're the best team in the country, then I don't know what to tell you. That was my man's.
Like
going to bat for his team.
Like I don't understand. Like you're not going to be happy if you're on the outside. If you're on the outside looking in, you're not going to be happy, regardless of the system, regardless of the fairness. But don't be a governor of a state and be out.
I like Pissy Ravi's funny, Ravi, because you just go in.
Well, it's so dumb. This man's in charge of a whole ass state.
Not half?
No, not a half-ass. Well, kind of. West Virginia is like half of Virginia, right? So it kind of is a half-ass state. But, like, legally, it's a whole ass state.
Yeah.
And he's sitting here calling it a miscarriage of justice. I'm going to go out on a limb here, bud, and say there's worse miscarriages of justice happening in your state right now. Like, maybe lock in, okay?
What I'm going to need you to do is I'm going to need you to lock in, okay?
Yeah.
Lock in.
Like, tighten up. Focus up.
And it was a bold headline. I'm like, 2 a.m, I want to read something different.
Dude, and so here's the funny thing.
Read another preview of.
Is he backtracked within like hours? Because the first thing is we're taking legal action. And then the AG probably looked into it and was like, hey, bud, we don't, there's
You're
nothing,
not, you can't get there.
there's nothing to do here. And so he's like, we're going to do an investigation and we're going to call the NCAA, the National Corrupt whatever. And then we're going to fully cooperate with the NCAA. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm trying to think of the other huge basketball voice that was like on that same BS.
I don't know, but if you're a huge basketball voice and you're advocating for legal action based on a committee selection, you should be get gone too.
Get gone.
Get gone.
Hey, what I'm going to need you to do is get gone.
Yeah, like, see ya. Get stepping. Like, we're done.
Get gone.
The you in Texas can get gone. Like, get out.
Is there a part of you now that you kind of like them? Are you rooting for Carolina?
100%. I want them to do like VCU and go to the Final Four because
they got my guys, though, at San Diego State.
This is so annoying that I want the committee to be justified, which, again, wins and losses in the tournament aren't really justification, but that's how everybody views it. So, yeah, I want North Carolina to go on a run.
Yeah, because I'm certainly not going to – like, if they somehow go on a run, I'm not going to try to convince you that
team's better than it was or whatever. Like, you get good matchups, you get a little lucky, sure, whatever. I'm not going to try and convince you Hubert Davis is a good coach now. But, like, I really am rooting for that to happen so people will STFU about this. Like, not everything.
I'm sorry, what does that stand for?
Shut the front door. Oh, no. Not everything. The world is not always conspiring against you. Sometimes you just weren't good enough at basketball, my guy.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you just shouldn't lose to Colorado. That's it. Just don't lose to Colorado. Like if North Carolina had got left out, you would have understood why, right?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
If Oklahoma or Texas get left out, you go, oh, yeah, I probably shouldn't have gone 6-12 in conference. That's our bad. If Xavier gets left out.
There were stretches where they were playing against Duke. This was a couple of Saturdays ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, where was this before? And I was like, oh, wait, that's right. You are trying to make a push.
Yeah.
And I'd seen this before, and
There's
told you.
There's a desperation factor.
And I said, I've seen this before from them. You putz around, and then all of a sudden you dial in, and your only 2 losses were to Duke.
Mm-hmm. Number one overall, number one seed, one of the number one seeds.
Stop losing to Pitt at home.
Yeah. You can lose to Duke. That's fine. Don't lose to Pitt at home.
But
you think Indiana doesn't understand why they're not in?
You know what's funny about that?
Don't lose to Oregon in the first round.
There were so many people that were emphatic about, and that score was misleading.
It was, but don't lose that game.
That score was misleading. But I say that to say that team was top 15 in the country to start the season.
Indiana?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a joke.
It's just hard with preseason rankings.
Especially now when you've got so much movement in between years. Yeah. You have no idea what it looks like.
It's like I told you about Georgia for 3/4 of the season. If Georgia would have been ranked in the preseason top 25,
oh yeah,
we'd have thought Georgia was better.
100%.
I mean,
you just would have.
Yeah.
Like, who's got a better argument to be mad right now? West Virginia or Boise State?
Oh, probably. I don't know. Boise looks like a better team. Probably, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe Boise.
Like it's certainly an argument, right?
Yeah. I mean,
you know who's not suing anybody? The governor of Idaho.
You mad? Still worried about that potato shortage.
You got to lock that up.
The weather, man.
It's tough out there.
By the way, is it hitting us or no?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate when you say it like that. Are you just that sure?
I'm pretty sure. Mama Rose has reported on the weather, and it's hitting us.
When?
So about between 7 and 9 is when the snow is going to start. It's going to be precipitating before that, probably overnight, going to get some thunderstorms. It's going to turn into snow about between 7 and 9. So we'll get here fine. We may have to stay here.
Hey, as long as they get that kitchen going. See, you laughed at me yesterday.
What?
You made fun of me on the way to my vehicle.
I didn't make fun of you. I misunderstood what you meant. I thought you were trying to become like a cook.
Okay, but no.
But you just want a little free range in the kitchen.
Yeah, I just want them. I'm like, hey, go ahead, go back, go ahead, my man, do your thing.
Go make yourself some stuff.
I want them to be able to say that to me.
Yeah. See, here's the problem.
I get the health code stuff, but I'm the one eating it. I'm not giving it to anybody else. So you can just let me chill back there if you want.
You would never pass serve safe ever.
Is this the whole refrigerating meat thing?
Yes. Is this the whole taking basic food safety into consideration thing?
I mean, come on. Come on.
Yes, that is the thing.
It's a technicality.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
If I had to put something in the fridge because it legally wanted me to, I would. I'm not going to fight you over that.
It's a technicality.
Why is that funny?
Because I'm just thinking like, yeah, like technically it's growing botulism, but that's it.
Yeah. That might be what's wrong with my brain.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe you got one of them worms in there.
Like
rattling
on the sci-fi.
around.
But can you imagine if we got snowed in here?
Yeah, at least we'd have food.
Yeah, and club soda.
That's not.
I need that spray gun to work, though.
That wouldn't be on the top of my list is club soda.
No.
I'll hit that Diet Coke, though.
That wouldn't be bad.
It wouldn't be great.
Just depends on how long it is. They have bacon. They have sausage patties. They have cheese. They have fish.
It's supposed to snow like all day.
Well, I'm only going to eat twice.
Yeah, like 10 to 12 hours.
What's the problem?
DB here for getting snowed in at work. Let's go.
Although I don't have any blankets. Maybe we could pull those curtains down.
I was going to say, we might have to figure out a sleeping situation where we get a little more comfortable.
I've slept in worse.
I bet the booths aren't that uncomfortable to sleep in.
Yeah.
Line a couple of those up together.
Curl up. Wonder why your spine is S-shaped.
We'll figure something out.
I know I could make it with the food, though.
More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. will be back.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where you can come hang out with us on Thursday starting at 11 as we've got Creighton kicking off right away at 11:15. First game of the day. You can come hang out with me, DB, Kenny Bell, and some of the other Hurrdat Sports squad as well, at least the ones that
The Hurrdat squad. So the only one that's gone is Anna.
Anna's out. Sauter will be out.
Oh yeah.
For
the guys
Omaha.
want to go touch Massachusetts.
Yeah, he's going to go walk across the border or something. I'm trying to think. I think Avery's gone as well. I don't remember if Avery's there or not.
Where's old Ave?
I don't remember. I think she's out on assignment somewhere though. I can't remember what she's doing.
Out on assignment.
Yeah.
That sounds professional, like the night agent.
Well,
which, by the way, I had to turn that show off.
If she's working, that would be professional, right?
Our main man, the Baconator, Johnny the Pig, has a really good point.
Yeah.
By the way,
that bacon. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, it was legit.
Oh, you got it too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, okay. I had it this weekend.
Dang, you didn't waste it. I had to wait till the kids left.
No, I don't.
Got one shared.
I don't have that problem.
My name is DB. I ain't sharing.
The only people I gotta worry about is the dogs begging. Bro,
man,
his wifey doesn't eat bacon, so
it didn't shrink like I thought either.
No, not really. It was pretty quality.
Yeah, not like the goddamn corned beef I smoked yesterday.
Yeah, corned beef shrinks up a lot because how much fat's in there.
It was like it ended up being like kind of like a fist and a half.
Yeah,
I might have smoked it too.
I did smoke it, and it was sensational.
We got the grill out last night.
I got it down. Did you?
But well,
who's we? You had a turd in your pocket?
I helped bring the grill out. I did not do any of the cooking on the grill, to be clear. So it was a we in terms of setup.
I thought she was a pescatarian.
Yeah, we grilled some. She grilled some salmon. She grilled me up some giant shrimpies.
All right, some red Argentinas.
Yeah,
for sure, baby.
I don't know, but the shrimp were like
giant.
They were huge.
What'd you do with them?
Just grilled them up. I don't know. She did something, put some seasoning or sauteed or.
Was there a starch?
Yeah, she made this kind of like mango quinoa salad thing that was pretty good.
Yeah, rolled the dice with some mango this weekend from said grocery store. Mango's tough.
Can I tell you?
Mango is tough.
So there's this one of the stores around town here, and this doesn't sound good at all, and it's not something I would normally eat, but Natasha's like obsessed with these dried mangoes. And I don't generally like dried fruit. I think they're disgusting. But she had me try one. I don't know what it is. They're addicting.
Yeah,
they're so
it's
good.
The preservatives and stuff that they dry them out with.
Yeah, all the good stuff.
Fudge.
They're phenomenal.
I had a thing of mangoes, and like 1 out of every 6 squares was good. I'm like, why is mango so hard to get right?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a very finicky. Now, good mango is
really,
great
really
mango.
good. Yeah. But
Bad mango tastes like a cross between dirt and a dusty pear. Like I can't describe. It's awful.
Yeah. No, it's bad. Bad mango is really bad.
It's one of those things too that flavors they just don't get right.
Yeah.
You know, mango's a big one now.
That people use in like
juice or drinks or
it's like, not right. It's not close.
Like mango.
Yeah.
A little bit of that WC.
Which, by the way, I'm almost out.
You did bring up Johnny Pig though.
Yeah, he made a good. It's a good point. He's like with the BCS, we're arguing the 3rd through 6th best team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Those are teams that are good and could win the tournament. With basketball, we're arguing the 65th through 72nd best teams in the country. Why be mad? And why go to court?
To be fair, we're probably arguing like 35th through 45th.
Yeah, I get it.
But his point is valid.
Well, here's the thing.
His point's valid.
You'll get if you do that,
mm-hmm.
then you're back to the subjectivity again.
You are right,
right? Because I don't want to really get into.
Because I'm going to sit here and tell you.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know for sure that West Virginia is going to be better than a 12 seed.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't want to cap.
And I'm going to sit here and tell you that I think Drake's better than all the bubble teams.
Yeah, you're on the Drake thing. I don't mind Drake though.
Well, I'm a mid-major guy.
Drake's a good basketball team.
They're a good basketball team, but they're like I go by Ken Palm more than that because I like it better. But
I think you have a thing for Kenneth.
I think he puts together a good website.
Yeah.
But Drake is below West Virginia. They're below Boise. They're below Indiana. They're below SMU and Northwestern and Ohio State. Some teams that weren't even on the bubble.
I mean, I'm not trying to make Evan mad because I feel like he's rapidly becoming a dude, but
Illinois.
They're a 6.
Yeah, I don't know how they're a 6. They were on the the bubble like 3 weeks ago.
If you have legitimate beef, it's the seedings.
There are some seedings that are bonkers. But you know what nobody's doing? Suing over seedings.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
I'll be watching. Did you get your tickets at bid seats for the Crown? Are you watching?
Probably not gonna get tickets. I will watch.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I mean, it's hoops.
Don't you love the? I'm not watching the Crown.
I watched the CBI. I watched the CIT. I watched the NIT. I'm going to watch the Crown.
I'm like, okay.
When there's hoops on, I'm just going to watch.
It's fine.
Like,
I'm not watching the All-Star. Like,
cool. You don't have to.
Hey, but do you make announcements of what you are watching?
I mean, sometimes.
Because I don't know
Not
why
a
people
lot.
make announcements of what they are. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
Yeah.
I don't like such and such.
All right. Not for you then.
All right.
Gotcha.
Keep it pushing.
You know, maybe.
No, I'm watching.
That's the other,
Just do it.
not to make like all like these societal like generalizations today, but that's another thing. Not everything.
I think it's your style of dress. Your style of dress has you feeling very let's just say civic-y.
like, not everything has to be for you.
I just made that up.
Not everything has to be for you.
Ravi Lulla here for civics.
There's some things that are beneficial to other people that you don't need. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's cool. You don't have to watch the Crown if you don't want to.
Dang, Justin Steele's not from Tokyo. Why is he throwing for the Cubs?
Because I don't think it's like exclusively you have to be born in Japan to pitch there. I don't think.
Sometimes I just need you to play along, okay?
I'm pretty
Mr.
sure.
Literal.
I
see that little Pikachu pimp?
I think they got a work visa just like.
Oh wait, that's not Pokemon. Who are those little people again? Naturo.
I gotta be careful here.
Oh, he touched it. He touched it.
I didn't see the cartoon that you were referencing, so I don't know what you're talking about.
You afraid you're gonna say something wrong?
Yep.
I really got to be careful on what I say about that.
Me too, Fred. I just want you to know I'm gonna be cheering for you, though, buddy.
I'm just.
Maybe it was it Digimon?
Maybe it was like Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z,
Beyblade.
Just.
I said Bay. I know you're gonna.
Selfish.
I don't know what Beyblade is.
It's not Beyblade. It's Beyblade.
Beyblade. Mike Marmalade. Beyblade.
I don't even recognize what
Are you saying like Jason Bay? Jason Bay.
Except it's with an E, but yes.
And then Blade Runner. So like Beyblade.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I thought you said Beyblade.
Very, very similar. Never mind.
You were a big Jason Bay guy?
Who is that again?
Jason Bay? He's an outfielder for the Pirates. He ended up playing for the Red Sox for a while.
Right.
He was okay.
Yeah. I tooted. Brain toot.
That's fine.
I tooted.
What? Okay, whatever. I was distracted.
It's
That's a bunch of BS.
It's like yesterday when On3 puts up this graphic about how Alabama was having plane trouble. They had like a gas leak, and it's just a picture of a guy from Alabama and just says gas in giant letters under his picture. I was like, On3, what are we doing to this man? And he's kind of like straining a little bit, so it does look like he's trying to fart.
Put that crap on me.
I had
what are we doing?
a lapse of my thoughts.
So yeah, a little brain toot.
Yeah.
You forgot the brain part first, so you just said I tooted, and I was like,
And I get it. Not a cool guy word.
Oh, it wasn't even the word.
We'll wipe it away. Shane, take that out of queue.
Is that your go-to? Like
No.
for past gas?
Uh-uh.
What is it? Because you don't like the word fart, right?
I don't know. I don't think I call it anything. I may just say who did that.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
You look around and you go, that thing ain't wet?
I don't think I call it anything.
You just don't acknowledge it? Like, hey, knock that out.
Yeah, I don't. That's funny because I don't know what I.
You look at the West Virginia governor, you say, hey, lock it up.
Still mad at that guy, aren't you?
Yeah, there's another guy I'm mad at that I actually agree with, though. So now I'm mad at myself. We can get to that next year on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. We're here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, and I'm reminding you, we are just about a week away from For the Greater Good. It's UNMC's and Nebraska Medicine's 24-hour giving day, during which alumni, students, faculty, staff, anybody associated with the UNMC, or even not, just the community at large, can come together and raise money for a bunch of essential things: scholarships, programs, research, student groups, patient care, and more. All critical resources for UNMC and Nebraska Medicine. It starts at noon on March 26th and goes through noon on March 27th. But you don't have to wait if you want to make your gifts. GreaterGoodGivingDay.org. That's GreaterGoodGivingDay.org. You can make your gifts today. The goal is 2,100 gifts. But if you wait until March 26th and give $75 or more, you can get a free gift. It's those UNMC hats that we had here the other day. Great looking hats, and it goes to help a great cause. It's GreaterGoodGivingDay.org.
I love how good you are with alliteration.
Greater Good Giving Day?
Yes.
What's going on?
Did you see that astronaut's hair?
Yeah, well, there's lack of gravity, so it gets a little crazy.
Hey, you gonna stop that? See how he talks to me like I'm like a 71 or 2 IQ? That's awesome. I love coming to work every day and getting your literal explanations. It's amazing. Every single day.
I don't even know why I do it.
I think jerk status has a lot to do with it.
Oh yeah.
Now feel free to grab that remote and change the channel before you have to come around on why you want to be. I don't want to listen to Mideast tensions.
Are you sure?
Tensions rise in the Mideast.
I feel like tension.
They're gonna blow that. They're gonna blow that country off the map if they're not careful. You're dealing with a guy that's not messing around.
Yeah.
Go ahead, leave that dude alone.
Maybe we should get off the Mideast tensions before.
Be minus a country.
Yeah, we're just gonna go. We're 2-0-6
So,
here. Get us off of.
You were mad, then you agreed, and now you're mad that you agreed.
So we're moving on from the West Virginia governor because that guy's a moron. There's another guy
yes. Will somebody tell we're talking to Schaefer in a little bit, right?
Yeah, we'll talk to him at 9.
Yeah. He's on me again.
What do you do?
You think that Alden Gonzalez runs a story today praising the scrappy Dodgers for overcoming jet lag and the highest payroll in the league to win games this morning? It's not the highest payroll in the league, Mike J. He's relentless. Tell him it's the first of 94 wins.
So there's a guy that I typically don't like very much, which is a pretty long list.
Yeah.
That I think that I agree with, and I kind of
can I guess one? It's one of 4 people.
Yeah.
You ain't make me.
It's either Dion,
okay,
Hurley,
okay,
2 rings.
Gosh, this is the same sport, but it is basketball, so I'll increase my odds. Shaka Smart or somebody in the NBA. Draymond Green.
So what would change?
Out of those 4, one of those 4 is correct. Who do you think it is?
I will go with 5.
You guys work together. You don't like each other, most of you.
That presser was fantastic, by the way, from Dion.
You guys don't like each other most of the time.
He's not wrong.
Love and admiration for one another.
You guys work together.
I'm going to go with, I hate to miss this. I'm competitive. 1 out of 4, 25%er. It's like a 1-outer.
I mean, I think the press has been an asshole to me the whole year.
I'll go with Hurley.
No.
Damn it.
Shane had it right early.
Dion?
5. I hate Hurley so much more than Dion. And you know how right Hurley would have to be for me to like he'd have to cure diabetes for me to be like I agree with Dan Hurley.
Can I just ask why you say beatus? Not beaties?
Because when I was a kid, that's how they pronounce it to me, and I've just said it the same way ever since.
Diabetes?
Yeah, diabetes.
Okay. We should dominate their ass on the glass.
Like the nurse when I got diagnosed, that's how she said it, and so that's how I say it.
Diabetes.
Yeah.
Even though you know it's diabetes.
I mean, that's how everybody else says it.
The heck with everybody else. That is so you.
Now
carry on, my wayward son.
Is that Kansas or Journey?
It is not Journey.
Is that Kansas, Shane?
It's Kansas.
Wayward son.
There'll be peace with. Anyway.
By the way, you want to take me to Sterling, Kansas?
For what?
I could get a really, really cheap dog.
Can I pet that dog?
What kind of dog? Frenchie?
Yes.
If you like branched out to other kinds of dogs, maybe.
Can I pet that dog?
Wow. Now you got parameters on what kind of. Why are you dog gatekeeping?
No, I mean you can eat whatever you want, but I'm only driving if you're getting a different kind of dog.
Maybe if you branch out to other dogs.
Majority of the people that are here.
I don't even know why I said that. I like your dogs.
You can't help yourself.
Sometimes I just say stuff, man.
It's like the jerk knob. It's like when you want just a little warmer water and you just
It
but
turns
not
into
too
scalding
much.
hot.
Yeah.
You burn your skin
You
off.
just can't help yourself.
No, I really can't. It's a problem.
It's fine. What did Dion say? You'd like Dion.
So Dion,
You were going to come around on Dion.
Dion had a good idea. Dion had a good idea.
You didn't build me, so you can't kill me.
You can't even say it without it hurting.
It does. It hurts me deep in my soul. But Dion had a good idea regarding the spring games.
In the bowels of your tum.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts me bad. I can't tell you. I cannot tell you. Like, there's a part of me, and I wouldn't do it, but I would hesitate if Dan Hurley was like, I cured type 1 diabetes. I've been dealing with this shit for 31 years.
Diabetes.
I would sit there and I'd be like, am I good? No, I'll go take it. I'll go take it. Like, cure me. But like, there'd be a moment where I'd be like, really, Danny Hurley? Like, this is what we on?
Oh man.
Anyway, so
what if he was like in Calcutta chilling with Mother Teresa?
I got some problems with Mother Teresa. We don't want to go there.
Oh, wow.
There's some.
Wow.
I'm just saying there's some evidence that Mother Teresa may have been a bit of a tough hang.
Oh, this show is incredible.
There's some. And listen, that's one of my people. You know.
My man.
So I'm inclined to give her the benefit of the doubt. There's some not great stuff out there.
What are the odds?
What does bolstered mean?
There's some not great stuff about Mother Teresa.
All right, Ravi. He's out on Mother Teresa.
I'm not like out, but like I'm hesitant. Like there's a
carry on.
Like if she cured type 1, then I'd be less hesitant to take it from her than I would from Dan Hurley. If that gives you like a scale of my hesitancy on Mother Teresa. But no, so Dion had a good idea about spring games.
Oh, hold on.
You good? Ooh, Jason, don't get me started on Gandhi either. There's some questionable stuff there too.
Why'd he go to Gandhi?
I'm guessing he's just like naming all the influential people of the 20th century.
Yeah, that's it.
That's probably it, if I had to guess.
You guys use it all the time. What is it?
People are complex. You kind of take the good with the bad sometimes. Yeah. You hope the good outweighs the bad.
Yeah.
I think for Gandhi, it probably did, freedom for the motherland. But, there's some stuff there I don't love.
Oh.
And more than just his like choice of clothing. Like the loincloth is a tough look.
I mean, it's a joke.
Just like cover up a bit, bud.
Don't drag Mick Cronin into this, please, Shane.
We love Mick Cronin.
Love and admiration for one another.
So Dion had a good idea about the spring game. I like it. I'd like to see it implemented other places. It's already implemented other places in other college sports. Dion wants to play another team in the spring. And it appears that Syracuse is willing. I don't know if that's going to go anywhere, but Fran Brown.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever
Why do you think it's dumb?
It's the dumbest thing.
Why do you think it's dumb?
Why do you think it's a good idea?
Because it's a thing that happens in the NFL. They'll practice together for a few days. They'll play a preseason game. They do all that kind of stuff. It doesn't hurt the NFL, right? And it gives the fans a great product in the spring, or a better product in the spring, which I'm for. I'm pro fans. I'm pro football. And
just anti-Mother Teresa makes a ton of sense.
I'm on the fence. I'm not saying she didn't do anything good. I'm saying there's some problems. All right? And here's the other thing I was going to say. Volleyball already does this. Why is it okay for volleyball, whose transfer market is just as crazy, if not worse, than football's? Why is it okay for volleyball but not for football?
Because I think you're asking coaches to do something when they've already told you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like the other sport comparison.
Okay.
Just because.
Set me straight.
Well, you don't have near the bodies on the floor.
Sure.
And football doesn't have any comps when it comes to its level of physicality.
So it's an injury thing.
Well, it just doesn't have any comps in terms, not one.
Right.
And its level of physicality.
I understand that.
Number two, when coaches are already guarding against, it's not so much if I'm going to be in a 3-4 or 4-3, or I'm just going to run zone or whatever else on paper.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can agree to be vanilla for the sake of being vanilla, but coaches still, I think it would be hard for them to chill. Like, let's say, teams get in too tight or goal line or 3-back or whatever, empty. At some point, you're going to have to say, well, this is how we would defend it in a game situation.
Sure.
Right? We do this all the time in 7-on-7. We only have a couple coverages in. These teams will throw the ball all over the yard. They'll throw these little mesh routes or whatever. Like, hey, in a real game, it's hard not to pull a team to the side and say, hey, when they run this, do this.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if coaches would
be able to control themselves.
Now, maybe over time they'll just get used to it. But then if that's what you're going to do, why do it?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it from a fan perspective.
Of course.
Well, I don't work for the university or any other university for that matter. So I don't have a lot.
I don't either.
Kind of.
It's not true.
I mean, I'm not being facetious here. Like, you call their games. Like, that's.
I work for Playfly.
Right, but there's like a pretty close association there.
Nebraska didn't want to hire me.
That's why I said kind of.
For that job.
Anything else you'd like to share?
No.
Okay, cool.
Not going to be poor forever, guys. All right, go. I'm sorry. I was having a moment. I saw Jameson on the screen, and all these things went through my mind.
Jameis Winston?
No, your friend loves Jameson.
Who?
Amber.
I've met her once. You're like, your friend. I've met her one time.
Okay, my friend.
I was saying, her dramatically better than I do.
My friend. I just never seen anybody just be all in on Jameson. And there's multiple ways to do it, too. And then we see the commercial, and it made me laugh.
You sure? Was it like a yesterday thing? Was it like an Irish thing?
No, it's an every. I don't want to paint her.
Not every day, but yeah, it's a regular. It's a go-to.
Yeah, that's her go-to.
It's a staple.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if it was specific to. A lot of people drink Guinness yesterday that aren't real Guinness people.
So I looked for a single.
Yeah,
right.
You were going to cook it with it, right?
But she has celiac, so she can't have. And
no beer in the.
So I had to find a
gluten-free beer.
Gluten-free.
Yeah. Is there a gluten-free beer?
Yeah. So my buddy at Hy-Vee
hooked you up.
Yeah, he hit this thing on his phone, and he found like the gluten-frees, and he found a discontinued brand. He's like, hey, just take one from there.
Oh, nice.
Ring it up. Yeah.
There you go.
So that was what was in the corned beef that ended up being more like a lunch ball size deal. I knew I was in trouble. I lifted up the tray, which needed 2 hands when I put it on.
It did not need 2 hands when you took it out.
Why is this so light? And I was afraid to take the foil off.
Uh-oh.
But it was sensational.
Yeah.
I just need about 30 more pounds.
You're like,
There's 0 left. Like, there's nothing. I had this thing for like corned beef and the eggs. And
corned beef cooks off really bad.
There's nothing.
In terms, like it shrinks up really bad.
But so for the competitive thing, there's a coaching aspect of me that would like it. But
would you like to get a gauge of your guys against somebody else?
Listen, we tried to do this in high school.
Yeah.
And
what are the so play it out for me as a coach, right? Obviously, the downside is the physicality, the injuries, potentially showcasing your team in a way you don't want to.
Yeah, just play. What happens in all these inner scrimmages that they have in the NFL? They fight all the time.
So those are the downsides. What's a positive? Because if you try to do this in high school, there has to be some positive.
So
right?
I would, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it, right? So hey, listen, when they use 2 tights and
like just play it real.
Just play it real,
sure.
Like situationally, like. And just tinker with like goal line personnel or
play it with like a real
dime
game.
Or nickel or like whatever you would do, like tinker with it.
Play like a real game.
But I just don't know if you're not willing to put stuff on television, then why would you be willing to do that? I like it in theory, but it's not. There's no practical lens to it.
Do you think that a game between say a Colorado and a Syracuse, which is incredibly premature, I understand that, but let's say that comes to fruition. Do you think that could provide a proof of concept for how this could work? Because what Dion asked for was, hey, come out here for a few days, practice with us for a few days, do kind of these inter squad practices that they do in the NFL, and then we'll play on Saturday for the spring game. Like, do you think that could provide a framework, if it goes well, for other teams to want to do this?
No.
Okay.
Because of the travel.
Okay.
So, maybe if you get somebody in close proximity, but then you're going to get into, well, we'll see them in the regular season.
Well, like Nebraska could play at Kansas.
They could.
They're not going to play.
But it's not for – this clearly wouldn't be for everybody.
Right. There's going to be some people where it's more challenging to – like Colorado's not going to go play Colorado State, right, because they play them every year. But you could go – I mean, Nebraska could go play – and I don't know if they'd want to do this, but they go play South Dakota State.
I think the reason it sounds like a good idea is because he knows it's not going to happen.
Sure, and maybe I do think it's a good idea, even if it's not
like I'd like to tell you a lot of myopic things.
Sure.
That I don't think would ever come to fruition.
Yeah.
We hear it all the time when people establish campaigns.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, run for anything.
So it's like, I don't know.
And to be fair, that is part of the thing I don't love about Dion is sometimes a lot of times he'll say stuff that's just never going to happen or has no chance of becoming reality. But I do think this is a good idea. Is it ever going to happen? Probably not. But I'd rather see this than us do away with spring games.
So, he actually had, so I think the thing with Dion specifically is he has the relationship with the guy that he wanted to do it with. And
in Belichick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and
Belichick has an NFL background.
B2 has an NFL background.
So he might be more open to it than other people.
Now, what I would be interested in seeing. So, like, let's say because of this relationship, they do it. Bill's like, hey, charter me a flight. You're paying me $10 million anyway.
Yeah.
We'll shoot on over to Colorado. Next year, you come see us at Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
If those two teams were, like, good early or there was some tangible signs
that it was beneficial
of success,
yeah,
I could see people jumping on board.
Like if they come out of the gate and they're good fast.
Yeah.
Especially like in North Carolina. I mean, Colorado's a good example too.
They both are good examples.
Because they're losing a ton.
Yeah.
They're losing Travis Hunter,
they
you're
both
losing
are good
Shador, you're
examples.
losing Horn, and then Belichick is starting over at North Carolina, basically.
Or you could say, hey, listen, if there's a guy we get along with really well, Rule's got guys all over the country.
Really good relationships with a lot of people.
Hey, come down. Let's get some situational work in for 2-3 days. Like if coaches want to do that on their own and have those individual relationships, but you're still going to have to get those guys to and from.
Sure.
Right? Like that's a thing. I mean, you're going to be loading up 100 dudes. This isn't like you're 70.
Do you so you may not know, and I don't either. Do you have like a ballpark of what it costs to travel for a road game?
Are we just bare minimum? Just like to charter the flight?
Yeah, just like a general number, like flight, hotel, food, just any ballpark. Because I have no frame of reference whatsoever.
Flight, hotel, food.
Because I don't know if we're talking about $10,000 or $100,000 or
man, it's got to
$500,000.
It's got to be north of $40K.
Okay, so north of $40K, probably less than 100.
Yeah.
So, what if you just agreed every year to split ticket revenue?
Well, no, I got two guys with. I should ask. Because I know to gas up, and that's just like a 9-seater, though. It's expensive.
Sure, yeah.
So
what I'm asking, though, is...
But contract deals just depends on what they're willing to negotiate.
Sure, because you've got you've got a long-term relationship with the charter company, so they may help you out a little bit.
I remember we used Sun Country forever.
Yeah, they may help you out a little bit more than some.
And I'd never heard of Sun Country at the time.
But, like, if there's if you're doing a home-and-home, right, kind of like we're talking about with Colorado, North Carolina, you say, hey, we'll give you 30% of the gate to cover your whatever.
Yeah.
Or you just say, hey, we'll keep the whole gate, but we'll cover your expenses. Like, does that make it more feasible?
There'd have to be some fiscal logistics.
Like some sort of arrangement.
Yeah, sure. Because you don't want that school to accrue.
You don't put them in a bad spot because they're doing
while you're making money.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'd have to be some sort of agreement.
So you either say, hey,
like you'd settle up with the city. I don't
sure.
Like you would with at a venue.
Yeah. But you say, hey, we're Colorado, we're pretty confident we're gonna sell this thing out. We will cover your travel to come out here. And then vice versa when they go out to North Carolina.
This is interesting. My buddy Mike, he said I'd have zero interest. There's a reason the preseason scrimmages go the way that they do, and basketballs are closed to fans, and I believe media.
Yeah, that's about to change though too. because they just removed the rule that your D1 to D1 scrimmages have to be for a fundraiser.
Yeah.
That's about to change too. And listen, Creighton versus Purdue was incredible. That was awesome. I don't know anybody that's mad about that, including Purdue.
12 of them, 12 games. I don't love it.
You don't love it?
I don't. That's just a personal preference.
There is potential benefit there.
I mean, you'd have to make a ton of you'd have to do it with somebody that you obviously have relationships with that you trust.
So you could have some agreements on how this is going to go.
Yep. And it would be very controlled.
Sure.
It'd be very controlled.
To me, that's better.
You know, like you'd have to have, I mean, hey, I don't want to see any 7-man pressures, right?
Sure.
You know, we're young here. You'd have to work through those things, and you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't know if the juice would be worth the squeeze at the end of the day.
Maybe you even say, "Hey, I know we want to show, or we want our quarterback to play a quarter, our starter.
Yeah,
we're not touching the starters. Like you don't touch the starting quarterback. You put the green jersey on like you would in a regular spring game. Say, hey, we're not. If it was last year, we're not going to touch Shador. You're not going to touch Dylan Rail. If it was Nebraska, Colorado, right? Like, there's things you could do. I would rather see this.
I mean, it sounds macho, right? Like if you're a fan, like, yeah, do it. I'm
not even trying to sound macho. Just I want cool stuff. That's it.
I mean, you say macho, you say cool, I say macho. Like you're saying the same thing.
Well, so when I hear macho, I think tough guy.
No, I think it sounds cool, like competitive, like, yeah, do that. You know, but I don't know about the practicality.
And that's fair. I just want to, if I have the option to see football or not see football, I'm picking, like, I would rather see this than it going the way that Nebraska went
with nobody doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would much rather see this.
I mean, from stylistically for your eye, sure.
I mean, like I said, I'm talking about being a fan.
I'd rather eat lobster than crappie. I mean, they both are fine, but given the preference, I'll take the lobster.
I mean, if it's on the table.
Crappie's pretty good for what it is.
I think crappie's pretty crappy.
That's how it's spelled. Defying all.
I don't think I've ever had crappie, actually. I don't know. I'm not sure I've had it.
Probably have. People probably advertise it as some other fancy fish like cod or, cod cheeks.
Fancy feast?
You're like, man, this ain't cod cheeks. This tastes like crappie.
Yeah.
No, you couldn't. You'd know if you weren't having. It's not actually cod cheeks. It would be halibut cheeks. Those are very popular.
Oh, yeah.
And expensive. And you'd know if they weren't halibut cheeks.
I don't think I've had halibut cheeks.
Yeah?
I don't think so.
I have, and they're fantastic.
Pretty good?
Yeah, I Google them for you.
Well,
you get cracked.
We can look it up.
No, you're going to spend.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I still bookmarked that seafood place.
Which one?
Hey, they're not paying me.
Oh, one here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fresh Alaskan halibut cheeks right now, $30.95
per pound.
Yep.
I don't know if I need a whole pound of cheeks.
Look how pretty that is, though.
Oh, you had a pop up. All I see is a shark. That does look pretty good. Kind of looks like a chicken cutlet.
It's fantastic.
That's DB.
Sold by the pound, $30.
$30?
Yeah.
That's almost as much as lobster per pound. Claws, not tails.
It is what it is.
Tails are a little cheaper. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla, more Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Give me that cheddar, we getting Rico. Big bunny rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
All right, here with Coach Crutchfield. You had to wait the whole entire selection show.
Right.
What were your emotions, nerves, nothing?
No, we
Because
can't.
you knew you were in. But.
Yeah, the good part is you know you're in, but you don't know where you're going to go, who you're going to play. We kind of had an idea based on the last 3 days what Joe Lenardi had us at. And once the tournament field started shaping up, we kind of figured it was going to be a 15 with St. John's. So.
Yeah. What have you seen from St. John's? I mean, outside of maybe watching them on TV a little bit.
Well, I've watched a couple of games on TV, just when they played Creighton and other teams in the Big East, but haven't took a deep dive in yet, and we'll do that tonight. And try to build a profile and see where we're at and how we stack up against them. But great team, tough, physical team, Hall of Fame coach who's won everywhere he's ever been. So it'd be a great challenge for our guys. I think our guys will rise to the challenge to be able to take that on.
I asked the guys about the potential of, when Bryant was named the 15 against Michigan State, there was a big, cuss word in the room, right? That would have been fun.
Well, we thought, they do like some storylines in the NCAA tournament. We thought that would be a storyline that they would possibly do, but
whatever.
No big deal.
Yeah. Going to Rhode Island, obviously St. John's is going to have some fans, but this crowd today was pretty good to watch you guys just where you're going to go. So it sounds like some of these people are going to Providence with you.
Great turnout today. I'm shocked, but that just goes to show about Omaha, how much they like their sports, how much they've got behind this basketball team in the last 2 months, and it's been outstanding, and I couldn't be more happier with our fan support.
We've talked about this and throughout the year, but you've been building for this moment. When that name Omaha finally came up on the screen, outside of the initial, okay, we got to get a game plan together, but was there some excitement internally, or what were you thinking?
Well, this is the day that we all look forward to. This is the day that we mark on the calendar, Selection Sunday, and every team in the country wants to be active on this day, and we're one of the teams that are active, but that's what's the goal from day one, is to get to March Madness. When I took this job, that was the goal, is to get this program relevant and into the March Madness. So we've done it now, and we're going to go and try to play our butts off.
Okay, congrats. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
See you in Providence.
Thank you.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We've got a special guest for you here, former Husker and USC great, current Omaha Supernova, Allie Batenhorst joins us this morning. Allie, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We are so good. I got to start right away, though, Allie. I know you love volleyball. I get it. Where does TikTok rank in your love fest? compared to volleyball?
Oh my gosh.
You dominate TikTok. It's incredible.
It's been great.
my favorite. This was a handful. You had just gotten here, and you're like, I told myself I wasn't coming back to Nebraska, but I was like, oh, that's pretty creative. Like, I kind of like that. It's amazing, and I wanted. This was one of the things that I wanted to get out of the way right away. Is you have to be kind of an incredible person to leave, to have fans still cheer for you, to come back. They still cheer for you as an opponent, and now that you're one of their very own, they cheer for you again, right? Like, that was one of the that's got to be pretty cool, man, that people think as much of you as they do and want the best for you.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I think it just speaks volumes to Husker fans and just people in Nebraska, and just the state has lived and just the support's amazing. And I'm so grateful to have that much love around the state, and just coming back, it's amazing.
Well, and there's been no shortage of love as you've come back to the Omaha Supernovas as well. And you guys are on a little bit of a hot streak. You in particular been on the road quite a bit lately, but at Indy and at Orlando, you've been killing it. Like, has there been a level of comfortability that you've sort of found recently? Because your play seems to have taken a couple steps up.
Yeah, I think ultimately we've been working hard every day in practice, and I think it's kind of been a challenge going straight from college season right into professional season, but I've gotten a lot on my belt and been focusing and keeping my head on grinding. So I think whenever my opportunity came, I kind of just went for it. So it was really fun.
I always like to get the backstories on fitness and being in elite level shape versus rest. You didn't have a ton of downtime. Travel is part of it. You have to manage your body. What's kind of been the fundamental differences or the tricks that you've had to kind of adjust to from college to the pro environment?
I would say, first of all, college sets you up well for professional volleyball. I think there's a lot of similarities. Obviously, it's a little different because it's essentially our job now. So, but yeah, we play so many games and we're always on the road. And I think the biggest thing for me is just being consistent with how I take care of my body and just always getting the right amount of sleep. If we have an early trip, then you got to make sure you get an extra nap in. Doing treatment all the time, and like just being consistent is probably the most important thing, just because there is so many things changing, and just really being able to adapt and adjust.
So, Allie, as you're on the road for seemingly forever, you guys return back home this upcoming weekend to CHI. You got to tell me, what's your favorite part about getting off the road and back into the friendly confines?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think just playing at home is always just amazing. Just having the fans on our side, and obviously I keep saying Husker Nation. Nebraska fans are.
There's some overlap, I think.
There's definitely overlap. But yeah, I think just being able to be home and not be on all of these flights, traveling takes a lot out of you, like mentally and physically. So it's pretty nice to be able to be home for a couple weeks actually, and get to play in front of some Nebraska fans.
Coach Bird always talks about kind of managing the downtime in your social life. Has that been a little more difficult for you since there is so much familiarity with the state being here while you're trying to play at this elite level?
Wait, can you repeat that?
Like, I mean, is it hard being popular? No. Man, Coach Bird always talks about kind of managing your social life, when you're in your downtime versus the training and active rest. Is it a little tougher for you being so well received here in the state?
Yeah, I would say just whenever you're in season, you obviously don't really have a social life, honestly. Like, on your off days, you're kind of just resting and just going to the store and catching up on self-care. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely challenging. I have a lot of family here, and we figure out how to have somewhat of a social life, and yeah, it's been great.
Allie, I always wonder with these, with the way your schedule sets up, you're going to be playing on Saturday the Indy Ignite for the third time in 5 games. How much different is that than college, where you see maybe over
the scout.
the course of the year, you maybe see a team 3 times versus seeing them 3 times in basically 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's a lot different. I mean, it's like funny because you're watching the same film on the same people like within the same amount of weeks. It's very different, and it challenges you mentally just to stay focused and not look ahead and be like, oh, we've beaten this team already, we'll be fine. It really takes a lot to just be like, they could come back and anyone can win at any point. And I think we do a really good job of just taking care of our side of the court and just doing what we do best and making sure we stay disciplined in all aspects.
That's Allie Batenhorst, Omaha Supernovas. Allie, good luck this weekend. We'll see you out at the CHI.
Thanks, Allie.
Thank you so much.
We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live and David Berov from the Eye of the Storm podcast covering St. John's here next.
We will be back. We will be back.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
This one, of all of them, means the most to me, along with the Knicks, because the other programs, we went into Madison Square Garden at Louisville, won back-to-back Big East championships. And I was so proud of the guys, and one team won the national championship. But this is doing it the same way, but you're doing it where you grew up 8 streets from Madison Square Garden. And this is your home.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla. We're here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by David Berov of the Eye of the Storm podcast. David, how are you this morning?
What's going on, guys? It's the best time of the year. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, we appreciate it. There's so many different storylines, whether it's the Omaha angle, what's just happened with Creighton, the difference in the seed line. So we're thinking, all right, who can give us everything we need all in one? And I'm sure you can throw in some Knicks talk too, and I get it. They haven't beat a ton of good teams, but when you're at St. John and you can take that city by literal storm, how does St. John's become the bigger deal going on at MSG than the Knicks over the course of a 3-day stretch?
Rick Pitino. It's that simple. I know it's cliche, but it takes a coach to turn things around. St. John's has had that misstep for many, many years now, and look, you hire the right guy, and in 2 years, you flip the whole city on its head. It's the hottest ticket in the world. Madison Square Garden on Saturday was the loudest I have ever heard it.
That was it. Yeah, I mean, as a Creighton fan, it was like, and I get it, right? The Big East tournament belongs at MSG, but when a team that you cover and cheer for is on the receiving end of that environment, man, that was nothing short of electric.
It was wild. You sit there, you've been there. I've been to so many games, and you know what? As a native New Yorker, I've been going to the Garden since I was a little kid. You take it for granted as a New Yorker, and you know that so many people are, planning vacations around that building and planning, everything to go and see the Knicks, to see the Rangers, to see St. John's now. And for that building to be packed to the gills with pretty much 95% red in that building, to be having that roof explode in the second half, it is an unforgettable moment. And for St. John's fans who have been through a lot of pain and losing over the last 2 decades, it's a very special season. It's a very special night on Saturday to see the confetti fall, and hopefully lots more memories to be made this season, because Thursday is going to be real fun.
So, Dave, I do want to go into the history with St. John's a little bit here, because obviously with Creighton being in the Big East, that I've got some level of familiarity with sort of how their seasons have gone. And there's been, looking back at the records kind of through the, Chris Mullen and Mike Anderson and Steve Lavin eras, like it feels like they've been worse than the records have indicated, right? You have an occasional like 8-24 with Chris Mullen, right? But for the most part, you're above 500, kind of fighting for an NCAA tournament bid. Like, I guess what's been the vibe versus the expectation of St. John's basketball? Because honestly, based on how it seems from the outside, looking at those records, I expected them to be worse.
There were years where you come into the season and you're optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
In the Steve Lavin had 2 really, really good teams that underperformed.
Sure.
Chris Mullen, the last year, had a team that could, do something with Shamari Pons and then the Mike Anderson era, had some talent on the team. Julian Champagne's in the NBA now, got a lot of guys playing Euroball, but just couldn't ever get over the hump. And, unfortunately, a lot of times that does get pointed back to coaching. And there were just a lot of missteps, a lot of games blown at the end. That was the theme. And, anytime St. John's was on the cusp of doing something special, they would lose 2 or 3 games that they really shouldn't have. Their scheduling would come back to bite them. And that's just a lot of the lessons that were learned. Even Rick Pitino said it. Listen, they learned how they should schedule based on what happened last year in the tournament and the selection committee. So that's what happens when you have the right staff and the right guys leading the way. And I think that that's been the biggest change from President Father Shanley at St. John's being hired, who helped take Providence to new heights, to having Ed Cull, the new athletic director, who's somebody who revitalized programs and has ties to St. John's. And then when you have obviously a Hall of Famer in Rick Pitino, you clearly start steering the ship that is St. John's in the right direction.
I'm going to give it a little time here to get to Omaha and the matchup. I don't know how much time you've had to delve into them, but real quick on the lines of just generally St. John's in the Big East, do you see the kind of the discrepancy or maybe some of the angst? You've seen Creighton and St. John up close a few times now, and you get one team on the 2 line. You have the second place team that has a win against St. John on the 9 line, and they're 1-2 in the conference. When you watch them play, you clearly don't see a 7 seed line difference, do you?
No way. I thought Creighton got absolutely shafted. The fact that Marquette is so much higher than Creighton makes no sense to me at all. Let alone Creighton having to play Louisville. I mean, first of all, that's probably my favorite matchup out there right now.
It's a fantastic one.
It's going to be so fun. But the thing is, I think Creighton is still feeling the effects of not having Pop Isaacs. I think we're seeing that. Jemiah Neal has taken on a big load onto him to try to help Ashworth and Kalkbrenner, and he's done a fantastic job. But my goodness, how good could this team be if Pop was still around? I think Greg McDermott has done a phenomenal job as usual. But no, there is not this ocean of difference between St. John's, Marquette, and Creighton, and I think that they definitely got shafted. I think that they can absolutely make a run here, but I think they got their hands full with Louisville in that first one for sure.
Dave, let's move on to the matchup with St. John's and Omaha. It's kind of ironic that you're playing two teams from Omaha back-to-back here. But the Mavericks obviously making their first NCAA tournament appearance. What have you been able to find out stylistically about how you think this game's going to go between St. John's and Omaha?
So I'm super excited for this matchup. I hope Omaha fans are also keeping a level head about what they're about to see. But the fact is that Summer Player of the Year, Markel Sutton versus RJ Lewis Jr. is going to be one of the best matchups in this first round that you're going to see. We love March Madness because it allows players to get a spotlight. And I think that people who don't know who Markel Sutton is, 19 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, is a guy that could potentially be put on that spotlight. RJ Lewis Jr., Big East Player of the Year, 6'7", is an absolute dynamite player, can score it. And I love to see that. Now, St. John's is the best defensive team in the country, period, full stop. That's going to be really, really tough for Omaha to handle, obviously, because they're not used to playing somebody like this. The closest that Omaha has come to playing somebody like St. John's is probably Iowa State, and they got boat raced by 31. So it's going to be tough. It's a 15 versus a 2. There's only been 11 times that a 15 seed has beaten a 2 in history. The most famous one is a few years ago when St. Peter's beat Kentucky. We all remember that. But it's going to be, excuse me, it's going to be a very interesting matchup because what does Omaha do really well? Shoot the 3. You got 2 guys that are just absolute snipers in J.J. Watt and Tony Osborne to shoot that 3. And St. John's, they're defensive. They switch all 5 guys. You guys are going to see Zuby Ejiofor is one of the best big men in the country who can switch 1 through 5. That's right. He can guard your point guard. He can guard your center. That's going to be tough to deal with. And I think that St. John's and Omaha is going to be this clash of offense versus defense. I know that there was a lot of changes made after Christmas for Omaha to try to get that offense cooking in gear, and they really did that, and it worked. And yes, you guys broke a lot of trash cans in the process, but it's going to be, I think, really tough for Omaha to try and get by St. John's defense.
So stylistically, there's some similarities, right, with length and running and jumping and the ability to switch 1 through 5. Omaha likes to play a lot of the same way. We were talking yesterday with Coach Crutch and not necessarily to him specifically about points to win this game, but you guys are comfortable. You can play a couple of different ways. It can be grimy and low scoring, and you can go in spurts like you saw in the second half against the Jays. If Omaha wants to have success and let's say a chance to win, does that score have to be played in the 50s, the high 40s, the low? Where does that game have to be played for Omaha to be in the hunt under the 8-minute mark?
I'm trying to remove the St. John's bias and answer your question. But the thing is that St. John's can play different ways. Their defense can suffocate you and drag you into the deep waters and not let you get 50 points. They've done it a few times this year. I think that would be the best way and the best chance to do it is that it would have to be a defensive matchup and it would have to be very low scoring. The thing is that if you do that, St. John's, with their defense and what they're really known for, is rebounding, especially on the offensive end. And if they're going to continue to get multiple possessions off of you, then you're going to have a hard time even keeping up that way. I know Omaha is not great rebounding the ball. St. John's is the number 2 rebounding team in the country. There is some stylistic issues here, but if you want to keep the game within striking distance, you got to keep it low scoring. St. John's has had a knack this year for starting really slow, whether it's on the road, whether it's at home. They just don't get off to these hot starts. They did it against Butler on last Thursday where they got out to this 18-3 lead. But besides that, against Marquette, against Creighton, against a lot of teams, they do start slow. So if Omaha does shoot that 3 ball really well, especially early on, they could put St. John's in a disadvantage early.
Let me ask you something. Shaka Smart said something at half against St. John's the other day, and I thought it was interesting because he said the quiet part out loud. He was asked about the keys to the second half and kind of stymieing these runs, and he said, I think the team that fouls the most but it doesn't get called will have the best chance to win. We've said that about the Big East style forever, right? Touch, clutch, grab, how you played and defend screens, the whole 9. Do you allow yourself to think about how games will be officiated in the tournament with the stylistically with what you guys bring to the table?
I think it's a great question. I think it's a talking point going into the tournament. Everybody says that besides your conference tournament, when you get into the NCAA tournament, the refs get tight and the whistle gets tight. In the Big East tournament, for all of the teams, I think you saw it officiated very similarly to the point where it was almost kind of getting you ready for March Madness because there was a ton of whistles being blown. I think St. John's is not going to allow that to mess with their identity. You're just too late in the season to try and say, all right, we're going to get a little softer on defense. No, that's your calling card. I think they're going to go out there and they're going to just play you as tough as possible. Now, that does pose an issue, and I think that this goes back to your last question about what could Omaha do in order to potentially have an advantage. St. John's depth is potentially a issue. If they do get into foul trouble, if Zuby Ejiofor gets into foul trouble, Vinci Wachukwu and Ruben Prey are his backups. If somebody like Kadari Richmond gets into foul trouble, Davon Smith, who is dealing with a shoulder injury, is his backup. So, that is something that you do have to keep in mind, but I don't think they're going to try and be any less aggressive. I wouldn't be surprised if they're pressing full court or at least picking up three-quarter court. That's what Rick Pitino does. That's been the method to success. They want to speed you up. They want to get those shots for Omaha coming with about 3 or 4 seconds left and really make it difficult for them.
So, Dave, last thing for me, as you look at this St. John's team, obviously you mentioned the number 1 defense, you mentioned the number 2 rebounding. The one weak spot on this St. John's team is offensive efficiency, right? Don't shoot the ball particularly well, sometimes can struggle to score, especially in some half-court situations, rely a lot on Kadari Richmond and RJ Lewis to sort of create things on their own. Does that, if you're a Ken Pom guy and you're looking at, hey, what do the efficiency ratings mean versus what the ceiling of this team is, how do you justify that with what you see with your eyeball that tells you, hey, this team could probably make a run?
So it's funny because I was having this conversation yesterday. The eyeball test versus what the stats say. The stats, yes, they say St. John's is a poor three-point shooting team. They're a poor shooting team. How could they potentially keep this style of play going? And what we have seen is that they're second in the country in field goals attempts and 11th in field goals made. They're doing so by getting more possessions than you. And they are simply outwilling you on the glass, which allows them to make up for being a poor three-point shooting team. Now, they are probably the worst three-point shooting team in the NCAA tournament right now. They only make 6 per game. They only take 19 per game, which is very anti-Rick Pitino historically. But the thing is that they make up for it in other ways. They just shot 36.5% in the Big East tournament from 3. If that happens in the NCAA tournament, you're going to see St. John's go on a run because based on their defense and that shooting, it's going to be a very difficult team to beat. Now, listen, in March Madness, you only got 1 shot to keep it going. And if they do have a cold shooting night, of course, that's going to hurt them. Can they do it? Can they fight back? Can they come back from a big deficit like they have all season? You're going to have to see. But St. John's, I think, is really riding a hot momentum right now. They boat raced everybody in the Big East tournament by an average of 17 points per game. It was impressive beyond belief. And I think this team is really hot right now. And that's all you can ask for going into March.
It sounds, and I'll get you out of this because it sounds strange to say out loud. So bear with me here. As a guy like Kadari Richmond, who we've got a ton of experience in the Big East with, just the year at St. John's, as kind of an X factor, right? It doesn't sound a Kadari Richmond X factor, right? He can go get buckets, but he has been streaky. His ability to play with Lewis has been kind of interesting to watch, guys, with their stylistically. When you watch him going forward, how integral is he or isn't he? Is or isn't he? If St. John's is going to make a run, where does Kadari Richmond fall in that discussion as being an X factor?
I think you could make the argument that he is number 1. He just came off the first triple-double in St. John's history since 1999 when Ron Artest did it. What he has done this season is remarkable. He came into the season as the number 1 transfer portal addition in the country and somebody who is obviously getting paid a very solid NIL. And he has not let that kind of overtake him. He doesn't have an ego. He doesn't need 20 shots a game. But what he has done is get rebounds, play amazing defense, get about 12 to 15 points a game, get about 7-8 assists per game. He makes everything go. Between him and Davon Smith, that backcourt is tremendous. Simeon Wilcher with his mid-range shooting has also been solid, but Kadari Richmond makes everything kind of come together. He is your place setter, and the way that he can go downhill at 6'6", the way that he can lull you to sleep, because he's not that fast, but boy, is he strong. And if you're going to try and stop him in the paint, good luck, because those and ones are coming. And I think that he is very, very important to the St. John's success in this tournament.
That's David Berov from the Eye on the Storm podcast. David, we appreciate your time and enjoy the tournament.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, D.
We'll be back with Mike Schaefer from Husker 24/7 here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live, covering Nebraska football and recruiting for 24/7 Sports. Here is Mike J. Schaefer.
Yeah, that's a grown-ass man right there.
Mike Schaefer.
I don't know. There could be bacon involved.
Mike Schaefer.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank Brian Edwards for me.
Here is Mike Schaefer.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. And we're joined now by our friend Mike Schaefer from Husker 24/7. What's up, Schaefer?
Not a ton. Congrats to Damon, 1-0. Only 114 more wins in the regular season. Should be a lot of fun. Excited to hear what Alden Gonzalez has to say.
I said 94. One of my guys, wrestling Cody, he goes, congrats. Your first of 118. And I was like,
yeah,
what is wrong with you guys? Like, I don't know if you know this, Schaefer. I was very distraught over this game because Mookie Betts has lost 15 pounds and he wasn't in the lineup, and I was missing a first baseman, and I don't know, Schaefer. My worry level was way high. It was tough rolling out of the rack at 3:58 this morning.
Mookie can talk to my guy, J.J. McCarthy. He's had to put weight back on. That was his big accomplishment in the 24-25 football season. He was able to get back up over 200 pounds. So Mookie needs to just reach out to J.J.
Schaefer, you and I are going to bond over the Vikings. I do have, as Ravi would say, a closet affinity. I was big on the J.J. McCarthy hype train. You've had an amazing offseason where if he can stand upright and just play catch, you got a fantastic team. Are you going to allow yourself to be happy playing in a tough division, but you've had a crazy good offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I on paper it looks good, or the offseason looks good. There's still some questions like, will Ryan Kelly and Will Price stay healthy? Like, how much does that change the dynamic of the interior offensive line? They invested really heavily in veteran defensive tackles that missed most of 2024. So those guys are only as good as the snaps that they can play. And so some of it is you put a lot of money into interior of your offensive line and defensive line, but they're not healthy. It won't help. I will say, and I don't know how Ravi feels about this, I feel like they absolutely stole Jordan Mason, and I am excited. I am excited about Jordan Mason. I would rather have him as my running back one than Aaron Jones at this point, but I think he'll get there either way.
I don't need that from you right now, Schaefer. I'm going.
I'm sorry.
I'm going through a lot, man. Have you seen what I'm dealing with over here? There's nobody left on my roster. I don't have anybody left. You don't got.
I just need you to know that the Vikings traded Ed Ingram for a 6th-round pick, and then they turned that 6th-round pick into Jordan Mason. So it's like they traded my least favorite player on the team in Ed Ingram for something that seems usable. It was honestly, it was like Christmas on what was it, Saturday night that came out. I was very appreciative.
I'm going through enough. I thought we were friends. Like you don't have to rub the salt.
You got Brock Purdy. You're fine.
Do you have any questions for Schaefer?
No,
I don't.
It's usually me, so I'm glad it's you this time. Mike J,
I'm celebrating.
Why do you guys have me on? Like, what? I don't understand why people keep inviting me back to their radio programs.
I'm celebrating the fact that they re-signed like a 32-year-old fullback. That's where I'm at in life, Schaefer.
Yeah,
I'm at.
Juszczyk. Would you rather have Jordan Mason or Kyle Juszczyk?
I've told you this since 2013.
If I'm going to be bad, I'll take Juszczyk.
You have mastered the whole wet blanket thing, but still me wanting to be Linus, right? Like I don't know how you do it. It's a skill, man. You're going to be okay.
No, I don't know. I mean,
I'll teach you how to get through it.
I appreciate it. Right
oh, I lost a partner. Schaefer, I want to talk hoops real quick before we get into football. I am Ravi and I both agreed we're watching The Crown. I actually think it's pretty cool. We're watching March Madness at the same time. I cheer for Nebraska basketball. Can I be in your tree of trust, your circle? Can we be buds that I can say out loud that I want to watch more Nebraska basketball and not have people like throw things at me?
I think are you talking about The Crown? Like you're good. That's where I'm at with it. Like I would rather see more
fan,
Bryce
right?
Williams and Juwan Gary.
Yeah.
Like I've watched a lot of bad Nebraska basketball. I have celebrated a lot of bad Nebraska basketball. I, at one time in my life, was very fired up because Nate Johnson made a driving layup against Creighton in the first round of an NIT game. Because for me, that was postseason basketball when you're a Nebraska fan. So, like, I'm not going to scoff at them playing in the Crown. I'm not going to scoff at the idea that they could get some more opportunities to play. I'm not going to scoff that some of these guys, that maybe the last, like, true, really important organized basketball that they get to play in their career. I don't know how important it is, but we can haggle over that. I don't have any problem with the crown. I don't have any problem with bowl games. Like I just find it fascinating. There's people who feel like they have to declare really loudly, I am not going to watch this. Nobody cares. Just not watch it. Nothing like I hate to burst the individual bubble of the guy who's like, oh, I'm not going to watch this. You don't matter. Congratulations. Find something else to watch. Grey's Anatomy is on somewhere. Enjoy that with your wife. Maybe you can find WWE on Netflix. You know, there's lots of great options out there for you. Nobody cares that you're not watching it.
I just love
no one cares.
I kind of feel like this was the first segment. People just making proclamations on what they don't like. It's like,
it's
okay,
not everything's for you.
Okay,
not everything's for you. You know, I like that your go-tos were WWE and Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy. Yeah, you got range.
I wanted to get both ends of the spectrum there. You know, basketball kind of slides into the middle, and then you get the two ends. I don't know where Grey's Anatomy came from exactly, but John Cena's everywhere, so I know where wrestling came from.
All right, so last hoops one's for me. So as a lifer, like as a fan, but also being in the media, Schaefer, how would it resonate with you if Nebraska just kind of rearranged the deck chairs versus you seeing a real plan to do something different than what they've been doing?
I don't anticipate that they're going to do a ton different. I think they have, rink mass. They have Connor Essegian. They're going to build around that. We'll see if Burke's back. I'm not expecting a brand new starting lineup of people I've never seen before. I'm expecting Fred Hoiberg to.
Gavin comes back.
I would be okay with it. I mean, there's talent there. I want to see someone unearth it. I think he's a good enough athlete. He kind of always looks awkward, and I don't know that will disappear exactly. I didn't mean to make you do a spit take there, but I'm not wrong on this. It does look a little awkward. It's not the smoothest thing that you're going to see all the time in the basketball court.
Awkward.
But I think there's talent there, and he was a highly touted transfer that you picked up. And I just don't believe that everyone has to be immediately good out of the transfer portal, or you just throw them away the next year. Sometimes you invest in players for multiple years. I think it's more likely you see that in football, but also in basketball. I mean, I don't think there's a world where there are basketball transfers that have a struggle the first year, but then stick around, develop, and then have success. Like, I don't think that's an impossibility, but I don't know exactly what Gavin Griffiths would be. And so to me, it's how do you best surround a team around rink mass? I think you got to get some rim protection. I think you have to get some more athleticism somehow. These last 2 years, it feels like Nebraska is a little bit, I should say a little bit, a lot of bit less athletic than the teams that they play, other than maybe Bryce and Jawan. And you're losing those two guys. So, I don't have this like master list of things that they have to go get, but I am really curious what Fred fills the shopping cart up with, so to speak.
Dave, what's your level of confidence right now on March 18th, 2025, that after 6 years, like there's enough evidence that Fred Hoiberg will be able to elevate this program past where we've seen it historically?
If we use like a 10 scale, it's probably like a 6.5 or somewhere around there. I got in trouble for saying this on this program a couple of weeks ago. I think Fred Hoiberg is as good of a coach as I've seen at Nebraska. I understand that he's not Danny Nee in terms of putting together the NCAA tournament runs of the early 1990s. I think basketball looks a little bit different since then. I think Hoiberg's resume speaks for itself. I believe in what he put together over these last couple years. I believe that he can continue to put Nebraska in position that they're either on the bubble or a tournament team more often than not. For me, the goal that I kind of have is 3 out of 5 years Nebraska's in the NCAA tournament. There's other 2, they're in the conversation. I don't think that it's realistic to expect them to be a tournament team every year, but I think they're trending in the right direction, despite the fact that they lost all of those games at the end of this season. Like, I don't think the 5-game losing streak, or if you will, the 6-game losing streak, or both of them combined, are representative that Nebraska basketball is going in the wrong direction. I think having Bryce Williams as a first team all Big Ten player shows that he can identify talent. I think what Rink Mass did the previous year shows that he can identify talent. I think the fact that they have had teams that have been successful in quad one games at a higher clip than we're used to shows that they can have success. I just don't think I don't think the bottom's falling out here, guys. I just think that they need a little more than they got in the past year, but they were in the conversation. And realistically, that's what I'm asking for. And is that too low of a standard for others? Maybe. But again, we're talking about a team with 2 tournament appearances in 25 years. Like, what is realistic here? For me, 3 out of 5 would be the best 5-year stretch in Nebraska basketball's history for 30 years. I mean, at some point we have to acknowledge this isn't as easy as we want to make it seem to be.
Yeah, I did want to, I mean, when you said 3 out of 5, that's literally only happened one time in Nebraska basketball history.
Right. And so, like, I don't think that's that low of a standard, but to some people it's, you know, you're just ceding the entirety of basketball to other programs. Like, I look at Nebraska and Indiana have like the same amount of a tournament appearances since 2013-14. But it's hard to get to the NCAA tournament out of the Big Ten. And Indiana has every advantage in basketball. And, you know, like that's why the whole Indiana basketball, Nebraska football comparison works so well. Because the better sport of the two seems to come up short over and over and over. But I don't know. And I think Fred Hoiberg can get them there. I really do. If other people don't see that and they're stuck on his conference record, there's nothing I can do about that.
Hey, Mike J., let me transition over to football with kind of the level of excitement. You said something earlier that I thought was interesting about, you know, I think it's a little more easier. I sound like Ravi from earlier, more clear. I think it's easier in football for a year 1 or 2 transfer portal guy to not pop like the first year. We're typically a little more patient in football than we are in hoops. Do you see that with a few of the guys that have come over in the transfer portal with this class in terms of when they may pop?
Like the most recent class?
Coming into this year.
I think that's a possibility. I mean, I think some of what you're doing when you're building a transfer portal class is you're attacking the immediacy, but then you're also picking spots or players that you're just interested by. There's something about Gabe Moore that made this staff think, okay, this is a guy that hasn't played a down of college football in his career, but physically we like something here. Mentally we like something here. Maybe he just ends up being practice fodder for us, but what if there's something we can unlock? There's a physical body here that we think we can get something out of. Let's see what it is. And maybe Gabe Moore's nothing. Maybe Gabe Moore's really good. We'll find out. It's going to be a little bit before we get there. Justin Rhett, I think, is a good example of this. He's a backup at Georgia for multiple years, goes into the portal, doesn't have a lot of film to his name, and yet Nebraska adds him to a crowded defensive backfield because they want to see what they can get there. And perhaps Justin Rhett becomes a player, not necessarily in 2025, but in 26 or 27. They have an example right now on their defensive line in Elijah Judy, who hasn't done much in 2 years, but you're kind of hoping that now that he's been in the system, that he's become a veteran, that he knows what the standard of defensive line is at Nebraska, that he can help Terry Braden as he transitions to being Nebraska's defensive line coach and gives her in that he can put on the field. I mean, not every player that comes out of the portal is going to be Kyler Murray. Not every player that comes out of the portal is going to be a star. Sometimes you're going to have really good practice players. Sometimes you're going to have a good key contributor in certain situations. It's maximizing your roster and giving yourselves opportunity to fill in if you miss on development in terms of high school guys. I think it has to be viewed in that lens.
When you heard him talk about development and freshman year versus or first year versus second year versus contributing, he kind of walked that timeline, and I get it. It was within regards to the O-line. I think maybe it was question specific. Do you feel that is kind of a thing as he looks at how to get guys out of the portal as well?
I Yes, I think that's a possibility. It just sort of depends on where they fall and what Nebraska's specific need would be. I thought that was my favorite quote from last week. He said, paraphrasing here, but he basically walked through freshman year, you redshirt, sophomore year, you're a backup. By the third year, you're a contributor or a starter on the offensive line. That was the model that successful teams had used. And that's, I think, ultimately the model that Matt Rule wanted to use. Now, college football has changed where players expect to play earlier. Players can play earlier. They're more physically ready to play earlier. Are they mentally ready to play earlier? Nobody talks about that, but that's an aspect of it.
That's the most important thing, Schaefer. That's my thing. Just the emotional rigor to do something every day with this staff. Like, they don't cut a lot of corners when it comes to holding you accountable on showing up, right? Like that's
well, they treat them like adults. They treat them like adults, and they treat them like adults with expectations. And you're not. They didn't bring you here to coddle you. Not that previous staffs did either, but generally the idea is that they have this standard, they have this system that you want to work towards and to achieve, and then they want the players to help police it so that when a guy gets here and he's struggling, a teammate is the one picking him up rather than a coach has to kind of hold his hand to get through stuff. Not that they don't have to do that, but and not everybody's mentally equipped to jump in with both feet. As an 18-year-old, I mean, some of these guys are going through spring practice right now. Like they've never done any, or not right now, but they will next week. They've never done anything like this. And they've never done anything like mat drills. They've never done anything like this off-season conditioning. And that can be a challenge. Some people thrive in that environment. Other people need time. They need time to figure out, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is the energy that I have to have every day. This is the effort that I have to put forward every day. So it's there. When we talk about development, we talk about on-field, we talk about, linear progression. Sometimes the mental development is equally as vital for the health of a program. Because if you're not developing mentally, then it's hard to know that you're going to be able to go do it physically with any kind of consistency.
Schaefer, there's a guy I keep thinking about that I don't know that we've talked about a ton after he committed in the transfer portal class, and that's Williams and Nwaneri. Like, ceiling-wise, probably as high as anybody in the transfer class, but I'm curious what you expect from him. Obviously didn't play a ton at Missouri last year, but I imagine that's going to be a guy people's eyes gravitate toward just if for no other reason, the star rankings. Like, where are you at when in this developmental conversation on what's reasonable to expect from a guy with pretty high upside, but not really any track record?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting what situations he finds himself in. Is this a guy who's on the too deep as we get into August right away? Because then the expectation is that when he's on the field, he's going to be able to contribute at a relatively high level. I mean, if he's a starter, the expectation is that he's going to contribute at a high level. So it's going to be interesting to see when we get to August where a guy like that ends up, because the sort of the advanced talking of him has been that he's really big physically, that he, is a unique athlete, that he passes the eye test, but he's got to be able to physically go and do it and have a good spring. And he's got to stack days for Nebraska. And then they're going to have to feel comfortable that putting him on the field is a better choice for them than putting some of these other defensive linemen on the field. So he's a guy with huge upside, but I don't know that we're going to see that manifest into being a big 2025. But I think he's someone that, like when Matt Rule talked about that with defensive line, if you extrapolate that to transfer portal or it's talked about it with offensive line, you extrapolate it to transfer portal and defensive line. I mean, if he is a backup this year, the idea in 2026 is Nwaneri could be a starter and could be a key player for you. And so I think that's the hope, or at least it is for me. I'm not expecting him to come in and replace Ty Robinson as a one-to-one comparison just because he was a 5-star a couple of recruiting cycles ago. I think there's a lot that he probably has to learn about being a big man in a big conference. And he went through it with the SEC, and he didn't get a lot of playing time. He's in the Big Ten now, and we'll see how it all goes.
When you heard Coach Rule go through the laundry list, he got it out of the way early of guys.
Love that too.
Okay, well, let's start there. So is that because it just makes it easier, like guesswork?
It prevents the first day where Brunt sends me on a task to go take my little notebook and write down every yellow jersey, and then You know, if I don't know if the number doesn't correspond to the player, then I'm trying to like look through the helmet to guess who it is or whatever. So it's just less work for me. I mean, I'm just being honest here. It's just nice. He came out and he said it. I don't have to wonder. Is that Amir Khan or is that Ramir Stewart? You know, like it makes my life easier. Like, hey, I'm selfish like the rest of America. You know.
So does the format for the spring or however they go about, did that put it more in perspective for you, dealing with or knowing what they're kind of dealing with situationally up front?
Yeah, I think anyone that was relatively paying attention to the situation knew that they were pretty light offensive line wise in terms of key spots. And then you go through that list and we knew that Gunnar Katula and Turner Corcoran and Teddy Prohaska were going to be out. I don't think I knew that Henry Lutovsky was going to be limited. And so you don't have that. And then some of the other names, I mean, Khan, I don't think I knew was going to be out. Jalen George not being. So some of it for me was just noting which of the newcomers, like Dawson Merritt, he's not going to be able to practice. Pierce Mooberry, he's not going to be able to practice. But some of those transfer portal guys where they're coming from the FCS, in a weird way, it's like, man, that feels like it's a tough way to get your career started because you're Jalen George. You already got a chip against you because you're coming from East Tennessee State. There's going to be all this competition on the defensive line, and you're limited. And so you're not going to be able to show off what you can do relative to everybody else until maybe the summer or August. So the big takeaway I had from that was a couple of those guys that were transfer portal additions aren't going to be able to help out Nebraska or showcase why they were brought in when there kind of were two big curiosities in terms of the overall list.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting what you find or what you may find when Nebraska does their due diligence with like medicals and kind of what has ailed guys that may have kept them from doing what they wanted to do and why they're even in the portal in the first place. And sometimes I don't know if I would always be willing to clean that up on my dime, but I think it is interesting that if Nebraska's investing in you in your totality, that sometimes getting surgery or whatever the treatment is once you get here is part of it. Like not a lot of schools are willing to do that either.
Well, and if there's a thing that you think you can fix that hasn't been fixed, that's sort of a market inefficiency where you'd be like, hey, this guy's better than what he showed on tape because they weren't able to figure this out.
Let's just get this fixed.
I mean, it's like Steve Nash's back, right? He flourishes in Phoenix because they have the best medical staff at the time in the league, and all of a sudden he turns into a two-time MVP because they got his back right, you know?
Yeah.
Schaefer, I concur. I mean, there's really nothing I can add to that. I mean, once Steve Nash came in, what am I going to argue? The guy was amazing with the stunts. I didn't know that they were a revered medical staff, so I learned something today.
At the time, yeah, they were by far the best medical staff in the league.
I think, you know what's interesting is I'm surprised he kind of corrected it where he said limited. I don't think they let Lutovsky do much of anything because I think they knew in January that he was going to have to get some work done.
Yeah,
I would. When he said, well, limited, I'm like, shoot, I don't know if I would. But I wonder what limited means because he was very specific on out versus limited guys. So they've definitely done their due diligence and know kind of right where those guys are at.
Yeah, my assumption is limited is probably they do a little bit more with the yellow jersey. Out might just be that they're not even dressed. In some cases,
versus nothing at all.
There's going to be some good players that I think will have to move on just because they couldn't get right, which is going to be sad. But it's the day we live in. I'm cheering like crazy for Demetrius Bell.
That's the knee injury.
Yeah, uber talented man. Like, but that's a guy that I'm gonna champion.
You want to talk about someone that staff is invested in? I mean, they brought him over, knew that he could not play as a freshman because the academics weren't there. They knew that they were not new, but they thought that they were going to get a wide receiver that was be a steal relative to what he was ranked or who was after him at the end of it, and then he has that knee injury, and so now you're going to be 2.5 years in, and you really haven't seen him on the field, so you don't know exactly what he's like when the lights are the brightest. I mean, there's definitely if he amounts to something at Nebraska, or if it ends up being somewhere else, you have to give a lot of credit to his perseverance and his willingness to fight through stuff that some players just aren't willing to do.
Yeah,
they're willing to do to a small extent, but they're not going to put in all the work that's required to come all the way back from all of these things that Demetrius Bell has gone through.
Mike J, I mean, look at look what he walked. He was going to be Barney before Barney, right? Mm-hmm. And then a year later, you walk into that room and you're like, holy smokes, this is kind of daunting.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at their wide receiver recruiting for 2026, and it's like, this doesn't feel the same as last year where they were in on 15 four-star guys because they needed that for the room. And now it's like, all right, we like Jabari Brady. We like Ryan Mosley. We'll see what else is
he
out
in
there.
Missouri today or yesterday?
Brady was there yesterday.
Oh, boy. Okay. So it's Missouri, OU, and Nebraska U?
Yeah, I mean, those are the teams that he's discussing at this point. Jabari Brady's kind of an interesting guy. He's 6'1", 6'1.5", or listed that way. I mean, actual height is probably somewhere an inch, give or take, either way. But he's 205 pounds. Like, he's a physical guy as a wide receiver. Because I was like, in my head, I thought he was a smaller receiver. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a name. I saw the name Jabari Brady, and I just assumed
I felt like that about
5'11", 175, and that is not the case.
Mosey not thicker than you? Mosey up close is thicker than I thought he was on tape.
I think he had a growth spurt. I saw him in April of 2023, and you were there. You were at the same thing. It was super windy. Yeah, it was a super windy day in Kansas City. Yeah. And other than Q39, kind of what I remember from the day, Isaiah Mosey was really good. He was not as big as he is now, and I'm fascinated what he's going to look like by the time he's done. Done in a few years as a wide receiver, but also even just getting into fall camp. Like I was standing next to him the other day and was just like kind of surprised. Like he was 5'9" at that camp. I swear to you, he was like 5'9". Scat quick wide receiver, and now it just feels like he's 6 foot, 6.5 feet. He's kind of broad. I don't know where this came from. Apparently they continue to grow after you first see him. I don't believe it, but
Schaefer, I just want you to know as we let you go here that when your text came in to DB, he wanted to make sure that I knew that by about $4 million, the Dodgers do not have the highest payroll in baseball.
Okay. All right. I forgot that Shohei Ohtani only accounts towards $2 million of their payroll.
Why?
I completely forgot about that.
It's a little deferred money. So,
Knock it off.
We appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks,
all right,
Mike.
guys, have a good one. Damon and
We've got CL Brown from the Louisville Courier Journal coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back.
will be back.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Hadley off to Smith on the right side. Comes back out top, gives to Hadley. Back to Smith, top right three. Good! Here's Hepburn drifting over to the high left. Comes back toward the middle. Hepburn throws to Hadley, open on the right wing for three. Got it! Here's Hepburn out front, bounce pass to Scott for a flush. That's just too easy right there for Louisville.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by CL Brown. He covers basketball for the Louisville Courier Journal. CL, how are you this morning?
Gentlemen, I'm doing well. It's been a long time.
Yeah, well, you know, it's hoop season. They open with Creighton. You're my guy. I'm an ACC honk, even though my Tar Heels suck. We had to do it, man. How you been?
I've been well. I mean, at this point, I'm like, people need to get over it. Like, they got in. Deal with it. Let's move on.
That's my partner.
You know,
this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is America. The big brands win. That's what happens here. So, you know, I could make the argument that they shouldn't have got in. I could make an argument of why they should get in. So, you know, I mean, it's not that egregious that they're in. I think what would be bad is if they come out flat and lose tonight at against San Diego State. But other than that, I have no problem with it.
Are you buying any of the conspiracy theories on why they were late and missed their media deals yesterday with the chartered flight? Because I fly with our guys for the football team, man. Stuff happens, but the timing is odd.
No, I mean, if you look around at flights in this country over the last, few weeks, there've been a problem or two. So I'm just glad it didn't escalate into something else, and we're talking about something totally different here. So yeah, things happen with flights, with itineraries. So yeah, they're not ducking the smoke at this point. They're because it's going to continue until they actually play. They're still going to hear it. Even after they play, they're going to hear it.
The FAA having a tougher week than the selection committee. CL, as you look at the tournament as a whole, moving past the West Virginia, North Carolina, whatever, all that stuff, did you have an issue with any of the seedings, especially right there in your backyard with Louisville? Felt like they're better than an 8 seed, and there seemed to be a few of those sort of throughout the tournament where,
if Duke's on the 1 line, Louisville shouldn't be on the 8.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how, Illinois gets a 6, and it seemed like I had more issue with that than teams losing to the worst team in their conference in the first round of their conference tournament, not making it in.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thing with West Virginia. Win your conference game. Don't lose to the last place team. But Louisville was at the top of my charts in terms of teams I thought got a bad seed. You could make again with any of these, you can make arguments and counters to where they should be. But this is only the second time since 2000, and that's only as far back as I go. It could have gone farther back. Second time since 2000 that the second place team in the ACC received lower than a 4 seed. And the other time was 2022 North Carolina that ended up going to the Final Four. So I think, and that was just a special transition year because, that was Hubert Davis' first year, and the team was kind of he didn't he didn't handle it well early on, and they were kind of in disarray, and then they came on late. But this is a different Louisville team. But I think they've shown that the way they played since Christmas, they're 21-2. I think that they deserve better. It's a tough spot, but the silver lining for them is they get to play in Lexington. It'll be a drive for a lot of fans, and they could potentially give Auburn fits if they get past Creighton in the first round.
Full disclosure, he's a heck of a family friend. His dad and I are buddies, and I'm as big a Chucky Hepburn fan as there is, but I think I can say this out loud and you'll vibe with me, especially with the changes Louisville made defensively and what Coach Kelsey has said. How many times are you going to have the defensive player of the year, a point guard, the first in the conference since Trey Jones, I believe, in 19 for Duke, and he may not be their best on-the-ball defender. You think Louisville gets enough credit for how they get after you?
I don't, but I think that's also kind of the secret sauce of how they keep winning despite the injuries and things they've had to adjust for. Because I thought without Rain Smith in the ACC tournament, I thought that they might lose to Stanford because he's their best three-point shooter, and they were going to have to just kind of change the way they did things offensively. But because their defense keeps them in any game, and as you mentioned, Terrence Edwards probably doesn't get enough credit.
He's incredible.
For being a great defender. Because, I mean, obviously, Chucky steals a lot of that light because he's such a disruptor. I mean, that dude is like a menace defensively. You can't rest when he's kind of just – sometimes it's freelancing. Sometimes he's gambling and taking chances, but Pat Kelsey has said he gives him that leeway because more often than not, he's going to make the right play and he's going to be in the right spot defensively. So it is they do have two of the best in terms of backcourt defenders. I'd say they have two of the best in the nation.
So, CL, I find kind of the trajectory of Louisville kind of fascinating, right? Because obviously, a handful of years ago, they're really good under Rick Pitino. He leaves unceremoniously. You have sort of this transition period where they're okay under David Padgett. Chris Mack starts off pretty well, sort of fizzles out at the end. And then you have these two bizarre, just horrifying years from Kenny Payne. And then all of a sudden Pat Kelsey gets here and they're right back on track. Like, is there more going, like, was there more going on behind the scenes sort of in that Chris Mack, Kenny Payne to Pat Kelsey era that sort of explains the huge variance from 24 wins in 1920 to 4 wins in 22-23?
I don't think so. I think it was really just, part of it is the changing that's happened in college basketball overall, and the guys who embrace it and the guys who don't. I think Kenny Payne's first year, and also never having been a head coach, I don't think he really understood what he needed to do in that first year to have a more competitive team. And he didn't embrace the transfer portal like he did the second year. But by that time, it guess it was too late for him. But I think when Kelsey came in, he built this roster from scratch. Essentially, there were outside of one walk-on, there was no returning player who had been at Louisville before. And most importantly for Kelsey, he got the right fit. He didn't just go out and get the best talent he could get. He got guys who would fit his system, got guys who would accept their role and fit into the bigger concept. And we're seeing the results play out how they've played out.
Now we'll see Louisville play 3 guards. We know they can interchange lineup. We got 10 guys that play 13 or more minutes. But here's the thing, CL, and help walk me through this in terms of how they've changed just a little stylistically. I know they got 5 guys that shoot 80 or more threes. You got 3 that shoot 180 or more, right? So they get it up, but they haven't been shooting as many threes over the last month or so. It's still a part of their arsenal. Is the change intentional, or did they find something a little different?
I think that they kind of go with what works to win games. In some games, that means they get more up and they're getting those open looks, they're getting good looks, but they're not married to the concept of we need to take 30 attempts a game or that kind of, Mark Pope, for instance, at Kentucky does want to get up 30 threes a game, no matter the circumstance. But Louisville is taking a different approach in terms of that. And some of it has to do, too, with just kind of like the injury situations that they've gone through and rotating different guys at different times. I do expect Rain Smith to be back. They haven't announced anything officially yet of when he was returning, but I do expect him to be back in the lineup, and that would be huge for them because of, they, especially in calling and plays out of timeout, they love using Rain Smith to bring him off picks and that kind of thing and shoot threes, and they've had a lot of success this year doing that. But I do think this team has evolved. Early on, I thought it would be a team that relied on threes more because their front court was so thin, especially after Case and Pryor got injured 7 games into the season. But they didn't stick with that. They've kind of learned what worked for them, and as we've seen the results as they've gone along.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. They're going to miss that 6'10" length. So two things real quick. I think, all bias aside, whether it's Chucky or Creighton or whatever, this is the best matchup, in my opinion, in the first round, especially stylistically, and how these teams can play. Space, the pace, it will be entertaining. What does Louisville have to do to be disruptive with Kalkbrenner in the middle, being thin along that front court?
Yeah, I think they're going to use a similar game plan to when they played Stanford, and Stanford had a similar talent in the middle, Maxime Regnault, who played on the French Olympic team. Yeah, he's a talented, skilled guy, can step out on the perimeter. He was shooting around 34% or so from three. I don't know what he finished with, but he's an inside-out guy. He can do a lot of things. He probably isn't as good defensively as Kalkbrenner and change up as much, getting to the rim and being a rim protector like Kalkbrenner. But they really just tried to crowd him and not allow him space to operate and deny passes and that kind of thing. They just made it uncomfortable for him to do his thing. And I think they'll probably try and do the same to Kalkbrenner to disrupt him in terms of getting into any kind of offensive flow. But it's really just a pick your poison kind of thing, because if they put too much emphasis on him, who knows what Ashworth is going to do or Neal or, I do think I agree. I think this is going to be a fascinating game in terms of the chess match that goes on while the game is being played. I think that is one thing that Pat Kelsey does well too for Louisville is make adjustments in game to counter whatever is happening at the time.
They can play so many guys in the backcourt with their flexibility. How do you think they play that two-man game with Ashworth and Kalkbrenner that Creighton loves to do? I know Chucky will try to push Ashworth out maybe and have him start offense from further out, but that doesn't really seem to bother Creighton a ton. How do you see that matchup playing out with Louisville defensively?
Yeah, I actually think that they're going to go with Edwards on Ashworth.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. This is just me taking a stab at it, but I think because Edwards has a little bit more length, and they will try and use that as a way to disrupt Ashworth as opposed to Chucky just following him 94 feet and getting under him.
Yeah, because he's all a 6'6", right? Edwards.
Yeah. He's wiry. I wouldn't say he's physical. Like, he's not gonna just kind of try and muscle Ashworth, but he can be disruptive in his own way. Just with his length and everything, he can bother guys a lot in that respect. I felt like with smaller guards, when Louisville played North Carolina, I felt like Terrence Edwards disrupted what R.J. Davis does for Carolina, and that's why they were able to close them out down the stretch. Speaking of close out down the stretch, I think a key to this game, Louisville has not lost a game. I think it's something like 22-0 when they lead with 5 minutes left.
Yep.
So they are a team that knows how to close out and finish games. So I think that'll be interesting to keep an eye on what the score is when it's getting late in the game.
I think them and St. John are 1-2 in terms of that mark, but both have unblemished in the loss column when they lead after 5 minutes or less.
Yeah, I was hoping Omaha. I've been watching them all season in the Summit League. I was hoping they would have got a better draw than St. John. but that's the way it goes sometimes. 'Cause I don't think there's any chance Pitino gets upset in the first round.
Points will be hard to come by in that one.
Yeah.
All right, see you. We'll see you, buddy.
All right. Appreciate you guys having me.
That's CL Brown from the Courier Journal in Louisville. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live next.
Give me that cheddar, we getting Rico. Big money rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
All right, here with Coach Crutchfield. You had to wait the whole entire selection show.
Right.
What were your emotions? Nerves? Nothing?
No, we
Because
kind
you knew you were in. But.
Yeah, the good part is you know you're in, but you don't know where you're going to go, who you're going to play. We kind of had an idea based on the last 3 days what Joe Lenardi had us at, and once the tournament field started shaping up, we kind of figured it was going to be a 15 with St. John's. So.
Yeah. What have you seen from St. John's? I mean, outside of maybe watching them on TV a little bit.
Well, I've watched a couple of games on TV, just when they played Creighton and other teams in the Big East, but haven't took a deep dive in yet, and we'll do that tonight. And try to build a profile and see where we're at and how we stack up against them. But great team, tough, physical team, Hall of Fame coach who's won everywhere he's ever been. So it'd be a great challenge for our guys. I think our guys will rise to the challenge to be able to take that on.
I asked the guys about the potential of, when Bryant was named the 15 against Michigan State, there was a big, cuss word in the room, right? That would have been fun.
Well, we thought, they do like some storylines in the NCAA tournament. We thought that would be a storyline that they would possibly do, but
whatever.
No big deal.
Yeah. Going to Rhode Island, obviously St. John's is going to have some fans, but this crowd today was pretty good to watch you guys just where you're going to go. So it sounds like some of these people are going to Providence with you.
Great turnout today. I'm shocked, but that just goes to show about Omaha, how much they like their sports, how much they've got behind this basketball team in the last 2 months, and it's been outstanding, and I couldn't be more happier with our fan support.
We've talked about this and throughout the year, but you've been building for this moment. When that name Omaha finally came up on the screen, outside of the initial, okay, we got to get a game plan together, but was there some excitement internally, or what were you thinking?
Well, this is the day that we all look forward to. This is the day that we mark on the calendar, Selection Sunday, and every team in the country wants to be active on this day, and we're one of the teams that are active, but that's what's the goal from day one, is to get to March Madness. When I took this job, that was the goal, is to get this program relevant and into the March Madness. So we've done it now, and we're going to go and try to play our butts off.
Okay, congrats. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
See
Thank
you
you.
in Providence.
Thank you.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. And, there is such a thing as the credit union difference. When you bank with a credit union, you're banking with people who live, work, and play right in your communities, and with an organization that believes in the power of people helping people. Bottom line is credit unions are focused on you. Regardless of what your financial services and needs are, they've got you covered. Go check it out, centrisfcu.org. If you're ready to experience the credit union difference, make sure you go check them out. Federally insured by NCUA. DB.
Hello, Ravi.
We got some games we can pick tonight.
We do, but I only like one.
Which one? What do we got?
Chapel Corrupt Blue. Laying the 4. I mean, lay it. Don't spray it.
Going all in.
Yes.
On Hubie Davis.
Yep.
I've got it at 4.5 now. You still good at 4.5? Go get him.
NC.
That's your lock?
Lock it up.
I mean, that was weird. I don't know if I liked that.
I can sing, man. Just
you can. That wasn't a good example of it, though.
Ravi here for not votes of confidence.
No, in general, I think you sing well, but that wasn't your best.
I'm pretty bad.
That wasn't your best effort.
But it's okay.
So Kenneth Pomeroy
has
it as a 2-point game.
Uh-oh. I will ride with Ken. That's your boy.
Well, no, because now I think the line's funny for a reason.
Ride your boy.
The line's funny for a reason.
Are you surprised everybody loves the UC San Diego pick and not nary a person has seen them play except me? No, I'm just kidding. But
no,
they are a. But I know why the metrics have that as a 2.5-point game. Because what I tell you about UC San Diego, how they played. This was some weeks ago.
So for me,
do you know what it is?
No,
they turn you over.
And Michigan is prone.
They have the leading steals leader in the country.
And Michigan's just like, here you go.
It's going to be hard to. So, you know what upset I'm not really vibing with?
Which one?
Colorado State.
Yeah, you're not in on it? Not feeling it?
I'm not.
What?
But that is a trendy pick.
What's your holdup?
I think Memphis is a little bit of it is bias, but again, I'd rather be right than well liked.
Yeah.
I think Memphis is better than people think.
Okay.
And I watched them just handle UAB, who is a really, really good defensive team.
You think part of it's the Penny Hardaway thing? We don't know how good.
No, I think part of it is without Lindsey, their guard.
Sure.
I almost said Lindsey Hunter.
Detroit Pistons, great.
Detroit basketball.
All right, Jalen.
Wow. Tough crowd.
Is that another hate line there?
He every day. I deal with
kind
this
of funny.
dude's tomfool. Is it?
What I do?
For who?
What I do?
Deal with this dude's tomfoolery.
I don't know.
What did I do?
Yeah, there's that look like Mr. Innocent. No, and good and well, you should be in jail. I'm not buying that one. I get tight line though.
Not buying Colorado State, Memphis.
If you want a double digit,
I
didn't see it coming.
Let's see it. Let's hear it.
I'll give you one to take a flyer on.
All right. I'm listening.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Yale over A&M.
See, I always like the Ivy League teams. I do.
Yale over A&M. If you're going to pull one on a 12 or a 13, A&M is skittish offensively. The three-point shot can leave them. They have the one certifiable bucket getter now, and he's a handful.
Yeah.
But I kind of like Yale. It would not surprise me. Would not surprise me if you saw a 13 and a 12 matchup in the next round.
With UC San Diego and Yale?
Yeah.
So for my 13, I'm probably going to go High Point. Just got to ride with my guy.
The number's plummeting. Apparently everybody likes High Point.
Oh, they're very popular.
I saw some 8s.
They're very popular.
Will we get to like 7.5?
They're a very popular pick.
I'm off High Point. Then.
I'm biased. Just I like Al Huss. I like the Creighton connection. I also think Purdue's a little overseeded. I don't know if they're a 4.
Yeah,
they feel a little 6-y to me.
6-y?
Yeah, not like big sexy, like 6-y.
Oh man,
they're feeling so that that's part of it. For me, the UC San Diego Michigan thing though, it's a Michigan thing.
I don't let it be.
I can't help it.
All they do is win.
I know, and it looks terrible every time. I can't help it.
They play close games.
And they win close games.
They're
like bizarro North Carolina, no offense.
I do I do kind of like I would take a flyer on Yale.
I like the Ivy League teams when they're seated above like a 15. They tend to be a little spicy.
I'm not going to fill out my bracket until after the play-ins, but
yeah.
I got a couple you might like.
You got a couple?
Not crazy.
Yeah.
Because I could see, like, blind eye, like the first time, just the other day when I was like, what bracket are you using? I'm like, oh, just go to ESPN. It's a regular bracket. And I was like, oh, whoops. like first blush,
yeah.
I think in all 4 regions, I had 1 versus 2.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But it was fast.
Well, if you want to fill out a bracket with us, you can join our bracket challenge. We'll tweet it out from both of our social accounts. You can also check out the DB Burger on Damon's social as well. Come in here and check that out. But we'll have a contest, $150 prize package, including a gift card to the bar here. You can come hang out with us.
Or you can get the fish special on Friday, and then somebody else can get the DB Burger. And if you're
pescatarian, or if you got like the Catholic thing, Lenten.
Yeah, if you're doing the Lent thing on Friday, and then just look at whomever you come with and watch them eat all the meat.
Get the DB
because you're getting bacon, sausage, and the patty.
Got protein on protein on
yeah,
protein.
I'd get it medium rare if that were me, and get the spicy sriracha on the side and knock that bad boy out.
But make sure you follow Damon and I on socials. You'll see the DB Burger, and you can join our bracket challenge for some great prizes and be a part of what we're doing. We'll be back tomorrow with more Hurrdat Sports Live.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.